Hey beasties, welcome to the Poisonous Daily. Today is an exciting day. I got the man behind Black Ink, and I get to chop it up with him and find out all his how-tos, his events, what to look for 2026, and get to know this amazing, incredible man. So everyone, my beasties, please welcome to the stage this amazing talent right here, Eric from Black Ink Events. So I actually have to bring something up. Eric has been shooting and talking this Gab gift, and he says I have to be crazy to bring him on the show. Well, as a girl born in Brooklyn South, raised in Brooklyn North, I'm a NYPD prat, so I probably fit those shoes.
That's fair. That's fair.
I can take it, and I love that whole that they were out to get you, but Def doesn't want you taking his job because he's scared of you. Kind of reminds of me when I say the devil quivers every time I step foot on the ground and woke up.
Well, that's the joke, right? Everybody, it's not the joke. It's literally like I'm gunning for number one, to live to 120. And number two, in the afterlife, there's no reincarnation. There's no going to heaven or hell. I'm taking his job. The Grim Reaper's job is mine. That's it. I got
I
business to
gotta
take
give
care of
it
on
to
the other
you.
side.
I kind of joke around, and I even say it, and especially with my god brother Sate. Like the devil's just afraid that I'm going to take over his throne. But
Yeah.
I kind of say like I want that ancestor position to be that person that my descendants pray to when they're going through shit, so I could just
Right.
fuck shit up for them and just like, okay, you're fucking with my
Take it.
babies. I got you.
That's my
Like I
job.
want to be that ancestor that the or spirit that the world is like petrified of. So let's get the rundown. You are the founder of Black Ink Events. First, I gotta ask, how did you come up with that name for your company?
So I started the actual parent company is Black Ink Creative Partners. And the story's in the logo, if you look at the logo. Um, because good branding tells a story. When I launched the company, it was a brand development company, creative strategies company. And interestingly enough, their Black Ink, um, when you really start to do branding, you actually start to look at keyword searches and things like that to see how you're going to fit in the name search game on the internet, what that SEO looks like. At the time, I always loved the idea of Black Ink in the sense of as an illustrator, that's what I do. I do ink illustrations in Black Ink. So I've always loved Black Ink just as a medium. So to name my company that, I knew I was going up against the whole Black Ink tattoo thing, and it was still it was that decision to say, do I want to go up against that and really grill my SEO and really grill my company out there so that it picks up as its own entity, because I love the medium of Black Ink, right? And that's how I ended up with Black Ink. So Black Ink Events is just that subsidiary of Black Ink Creative Partners, um, and so it just makes sense to carry it over,
That's
instead of coming up with a new event brand.
No, and I'd like to get to the bottom of this because not many people get to know who is the person behind it or what brought about this amazing company that you are, because you support a lot of local and small businesses. From what I've seen, from what I've been reading and doing my homework on, you're a big on supporting local and small businesses. And then you have this thing, you focus not only on the fandoms of comics and pop, but you have horror, spooky, paranormal. I know you have psychics. You've even had psychics on your podcast. So you're into that spirituality, the halfway to Halloween and Arcanon and then the Crip Expo. What made you want to bring all these things together?
So the best way I put that is this: it's anything you see on our roster of fan-based events is something I have either interest in, a hobby in, or I have experience in. You'll never see a bridal show. I'm fucking divorced. I'm never going to put on a bridal show. Come on. Like, I could put on a divorce show, right?
Hey, maybe that's a new one, you know, a
Well, that's a new
divorce.
thing. So all that stuff is that hobbyist interest that I've always had, a fandom based stuff in myself, because I can relate to it. Um, we were considering putting on like a drag event, but I don't have, outside of having friends in that community, I don't have a direct involvement in that community. So that's something that it's like I'm teetering on if I really want to get involved in a whole new space I'm not familiar with. And I don't really like to do that because I do believe to some extent, stay your lane. And you can always branch out, but you got to be really good when you're ready to branch out. If you're going to try something you're not experienced in, you got to give it your all. You've got to really drill down and get into it. So those events come about simply because I have interest in them. The Like the film festival, the horror sci-fi film festival in October, that's because I actually am in that side of the industry as far as the horror industry is concerned. We currently are producing, as a matter of fact, that poster behind me, that film right now is in pre-production. Bug House, Tina Cross's Bug House. So we have that going on. Our producer on that is actually Steve Barton from Terrifier fame. So we have that, and then we have a two-part documentary we're working on. So the film space fits because I'm in that space as well as being in the creative space, right? Having to have worked in making commercials and things of that nature. So I have that film experience. So everything I have in the fan space is because I have in some capacity a serious, deep interest in it.
That's awesome. So I have to say, like, how did you grow, or what triggered, like, let's go back to little Eric. What got little Eric into all this stuff?
So
you said you were the master of questions. I got you. I don't
we
like
got
giving
you.
questions. I like to get you.
Well, I only haven't taken over your show because it's your show. Just give me a minute.
Oh, I'm all for it. This, like, the Poisonous Daily is like this open forum for anyone to speak their truth. But as long as it's done in a respectful manner, I want to show the world this is what I bring. Not only do I want to bring light, I like connecting people, but I want to bring light that people at all different planes, different views, political, whether it's political, social justice, religious, race, we could get along and have these conversations without any animosity.
Yeah, no,
And
and I dig that. And I appreciate that.
that's what I want. But you're always welcome. I like love your vibe since I got to meet you and speaking and being on your show. It was awesome.
Thank you.
But we got to get back to little Eric. How did little Eric get into this stuff? You asked me the question how I got addicted to comics and stuff like that. So now, how did little Eric get in? Because I'm not gonna lie, like I won't lie. I was a nerd as a kid. It was comics, and then I'm a big history buff, and then my religion and spirituality is just a cultural thing. But I was that kid up late watching History and Discovery Channel. I got into Bigfoot, and I would watch all the Finding Bigfoot. So
No,
when
and
I was
that's
like looking at all your events, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm into this. They have stuff for this." So like I was like, I gotta like start going to these things more. But
yeah.
what inspired or triggered little Eric?
So on the positive sides of life, little Eric was inspired because, on the comic book stuff, his auntie gave him his first comic book collection, right? Conan, Ghost Rider, things like that. And that was a treasure trove of creativity because I was a young creative. I was a kid. I'd love to draw. But the Bigfoot stuff, I'm really not sure where that landed, where that came from. I do remember, if you know anything about the Patterson Gimlin film with Patty the Bigfoot, right? There was a movie released way back in the day that was released in the theater that featured that. And I remember seeing that in the theater with my mother. And that's really, I guess, the only point I could connect it. I mean, my mother was into astrology and stuff like that when I was a kid. So there was a TV show on TV with Leonard Nimoy called In Search of, which was always exploring all that stuff back in the 70s. But that's really the only connection I could find that I would say is, genuinely what triggered my interest. As grown up Eric, I've lived in 2 haunted houses.
Really?
Extremely haunted houses. Yeah, lived in 2 extremely haunted houses. And no, I don't want to even talk about that.
Being a spiritual person, if I step into anywhere and I start to feel uncomfortable or I start getting deadly sick, I gotta go. So I don't know how you did it.
Here's what I could tell you this. I could tell you stuff off camera.
Okay.
Okay. I'll tell you stuff off camera.
That's like I sit down, like, I'm weird. It drives my husband crazy. I will sit down working and drafting motions and doing my 9 to 5 stuff in the legal field that I'm in. And I will either have like true crime playing in the background, or I got into this new show that it's an NYPD detective and a psychic, and they go and do all these things, and people be talking. I'd be like, you didn't feel that? You didn't get those vibes when you walked into like, I can't even be in a hospital because I freak out because I start seeing shit. So you're telling me you lived in a haunted house? Bro, I give you props, because I remember when I was living in the San Francisco area, my friends wanted to take me to Alcatraz. And I was like, hell to the fucking no. Absolutely not. And then I lived in the Santa Clara area, and there was a mall that I would always go to, and there was this house, and I was like, there's something up with this house. And they're like, oh, we could go. It's a museum. And I was like, I'm not going to that house. You don't feel there's something weird. Like, I would go on my morning run, and I would go that way, and I would literally cross the other way because I didn't want to be in the house. And then I ended up finding it was the Winchester house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, speaking of California, have you ever heard of the San Pedro haunting?
Yes.
Okay, so at AlterCon in April, I got Barry Conrad, the guy who filmed the whole thing.
Wow. We're gonna definitely get into your list of events
coming up. You're gonna have to come in. You're gonna have to come to that because
I'm all for it. And I think from when I was reading, or when I think you've had the psychic that of the show that I've watched. I forget her name.
Patty Negri.
I don't think
I have 2 psychics. It's Patty Negri and April Doucette.
I think it's April. Or I can't remember off the top of my head, but I got into this. The only reason why I started watching the show was because of the NYPD detective. And I was like,
oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't have them. Any of those guys comment. I couldn't book them.
But I think you've had her in the past.
No, I haven't. Oh, I haven't had her on my podcast. No.
Not on your podcast. I think she went to one of your conventions.
No.
No? Okay. So then I probably got her confused. But I watch all those shows. I love
anything. Speaking of true crime, I'm just like you. I'll be working and I'll have like all kinds of true crime podcasts going on in the background and shit like that. And I'll be watching all the time. Here's something funny. So when I was sick, because I had we think it was pneumonia for the last 4 weeks.
Wow.
But when I was bedridden down sick a few days ago, I had a fever dream. And this is because of those stupid serial killer podcasts that I listen to. I'm driving around. You ever watch the in Taiwan or Thailand, all those guys running around on scooters doing deliveries and stuff like that. Little bikes. So I'm driving around on a little bike trying to escape a serial killer in my whole dream on this little scooter, trying to get away from this guy who I can't see. All I know is here comes the headlights and that's him. Here comes the headlights and that's him. I'm driving all over the place. And this is where the fever dream part comes in. I have to go under a bridge. Right? So I'm driving my scooter down the mud underneath the bridge, and then the bridge starts to collapse on top of me. So I get away and I leave my scooter. But then the bridge rises, so I go to get my scooter, and now I'm riding a pig.
A pig.
A pig, I swear to God. I woke up, I'm like, I had to wake up. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Oh, you're gonna have to write that in a script somewhere.
But that's because of all those serial killer shows or some shit like that. It's like,
So I haven't had that happen, but like, and then I was also this kid. My mom can't stand horror movies. Like she'll
yeah,
watch it, but like, but I was this little kid in complete darkness watching The Exorcism, watching all
yeah,
these crazy ass movies. The only thing I really can't do that I don't like too much are zombies because I believe they're real. You know, we've had stories that we call it campana, flor de campana. So it's like a bell flower and and that's what we were told that was used to make zombies. So all my life I would hear those stories and like they will talk about it and I'm like, well, the plant is real. So these guys must be real too.
makes sense.
So like I feel like the furthest I've gone is like World War Z or
The worst zombies, the ones that
so
climb on top of each other. Of all zombies, that's the ones you're gonna watch.
yeah, those. Well, you know what? Because I don't think it's so much the zombies because it deals with like a disease. So it was like a sickness or like something like that. I guess that's why I could deal with it so much. But
Yeah,
like the other stuff, like my husband loves zombie movies, but yet he hates Annabelle. I don't get it. And
we
like
all
I
have
was
our thing. We all have our thing.
I hate clowns. Like
I am not a clown person.
oh, you and me both. I swing.
Yeah, me too.
I swing.
I
Like I
cannot do
love
clown.
Uncle Creepy, but I hate the character he created.
I mean, I watched it and I'm fine with it
That's
because
why I
I've
hate
resolved.
clowns. It's my brother in it.
No, but me, I don't know where it comes from. I just think
I love Freddy
like,
Krueger.
yeah, I can watch Freddy Krueger all day, but clowns I can't do. Clown. Everybody has their thing though. Everybody has their thing. So I
So
mean, you're
it,
good.
it it was like that, and I so but everybody was like, how could you just sit there and watch that? But I would never have like crazy dreams or sleep like that. But I know what it is to be waking up at 3 in the morning at night. I know
Yeah.
that. I know what it is to be bothered or told, like things whisper in your ear and you're like, what the fuck? But yeah, I haven't had those fever dreams, but that is a fever dream. And I
Oh,
was laughing
fever.
because you actually posted like whoever's doing hoodoo or voodoo to me. I was like, damn, get some salt, Eric, get some salt.
I said I
That
could tell you
garlic.
stories. I could tell you all stories off camera.
Oh my god. So now that you've gone this far, you're into film, you're into I gotta agree with you. I do love black ink artwork. When I did photography, my favorite was black and white film photography. Showing my age, when I was a kid, we had actual film people.
Yeah,
I know how to develop film, and I
yeah,
actually was in a dark room. And even to this day, with the digital say, I still prefer black and white.
yeah,
Like there's
absolutely.
just something about it that it just brings out the beauty, especially in landscape or natural photographs. Like I'm big on that. So you made an announcement. Sadly, pop has been pushed back.
Yep.
So we're pushing back pop. I know you also have a day with April Bussett. Am I saying that right?
Busset, April Busset. Yeah,
And that's April 18th.
April
So
18th. That's at the Showboat.
at the Showboat. So is it just her or are there going to be more
No,
psychics?
this is a
Just
gallery reading
double
with just her. It's just
okay.
her. And you can check her out. She does live gallery readings on TikTok actually, which is amazing. But here's to tell you the story behind her, which I think I might have mentioned on one of my podcasts. I called her up one day and I said, April, I got to ask you a question. And I was asking her a question from a professional side, right? About someone. And I opened and I told her I kind of got a crush on this chick and I want a little bit know more about her professionally, because I have a whole mental thing about dating where,
Listen,
I have
once
I
you've
have
been
bars.
through divorce, it fucks with your head.
So
It
yeah, and so
fucks with your head, and I
so
don't blame you.
literally, I tell you, within this was the minute. Hey, April. Listen, can I ask you a question? I don't want to drop the girl's name, but there's a chick in the industry. Kind of got a thing for her. I want a little bit know a little about her professionally. No sooner did I finish the word professionally, and she goes, M. I said, what? And she goes, her name has an M in it. And she goes, it's not. And I said, no, 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 it's not that person. And as soon as I said it's not that person, she immediately dropped the person's name it was. She goes, it's. And I was like, how the fuck did you do that? So this is literally in under 2 minutes. She nailed it.
Blessings to her and her gifts.
Yeah. So if when it comes to a lot of the, because I think too, like in the space of psychics right now, we're literally back into the era, and I don't know if you were around for that era, in the Miss Cleo era, where it's like, call me now.
Oh, I remember Miss Cleo, Call Me Now, and then what was it? The other one, California Psychics. I remember all the late night.
So I think we're back in this.
We didn't depend on Miss Cleo. We had Puerto Mercado. Okay, we had Puerto Mercado. We had the
best. But I think we're back sort of in this era where everybody, and I think a lot of it has to do with, we're in the internet age of communication. We're in the internet age of content entertainment. And people are just like, everybody is a psychic. Now, yeah, these are the fucking scary quotes. Because, I think half of them out there are bullshit. So, and I'm a firm believer in all of it. But I call bullshit when I call bullshit. But she just more than once landed on shit, which was just like, can you let me breathe a minute, April?
I'm sorry. I don't think people understand them too much or understand. We have a saying in Spanish, like people that are mediums or psychics or are able to allow spirits to cross over, they're called caballos, and the spirit could speak through them. They don't understand when they're talking, they don't shut up. And sometimes you get yelled at because you're not moving fast enough for them and telling what they want you to say.
Because they don't have the same concept of time as we do.
Exactly. So that's why, like, she can't shut off because they're a mile a minute in her ear.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're doing the gallery room with her. There's only 150 seats. That's all we're allowing. Of those 150 seats, there are only 14 tickets available for the full day with her, which is going to be a bus ride to Batstow Village, historic Batstow Village, Zion Cemetery, and Clara Glen Pet Cemetery. With her, a full day out exploring these things. She's going to tell you what she hears and she sees. And then a private dinner with her and private photo ops before the gallery show. And then obviously front row seating at the gallery show for those 14 people. However, everybody who goes to that gallery show and picks up a ticket for that on the 18th gets a free all access pass to AltarCon.
Awesome. So look at that, people. If you pick up a ticket for a day with an April Boussette, you get a ticket for AltarCon April 25th. That's another event we were going to talk about. But I wanted to bring this up because, I remember like Puerto Mercado. I remember when the Cleo came out. I forgot that other 1-800 psychics. I forgot, like, you remember all those late night commercials? Like, if you think he's cheating, call us now and we'll get a psychic on the phone. And then I remember Sylvia Browne, and she wrote books.
Sylvia Browne. Yeah, she wrote books. Yeah,
I actually read a lot of her books, and she had amazing books. But every time I saw anyone that dealt with spirituality, that were really bond to these things, that like now I even now with all I know, I still find it amazing when men are interested and actually believe, because they seem like the most skeptical ones. So for you to say that, like, I believe in all this stuff, and I have to applaud you, because it's very rare to find that.
Well, I'm still skeptical.
Well,
I am very much still skeptical
because there's so many frauds in every industry. I think nowadays, like the gift of gab or the snakes, what is it? Snake oil?
Snake oils. Yeah, snake oil salesman.
There's a lot of them. And like, I've seen it in the hip hop industry. I've seen it in the music industry, in the legal industry. I've seen it in all fields, especially now that I'm more in the con scene and in the nerd scene and so on. There's people that do it on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and you form. So I think we're always skeptical, but when it's like this special gift that, like, they've learned to live with it. And I think another big one was Teresa Caputo, Long Island Medium.
Medium. Well,
Yeah.
see, the thing is you talk about little Eric. I grew up around astrology with my mother, and she was kind of into Wicked and all that stuff. Um, so there was definitely that exposure there. Um, I'll give you a good example. Like, for example, let's say UFO abductions. Okay, I'm a firm believer that yeah, there might be some UFO abductions out there that might be extraterrestrials. Because why wouldn't there be if there was a higher intelligent creature? We do it to bugs all day. We take bugs out of the wildlife and animals out of wildlife and put them in cages and study them. So I can't argue with that from that logical standpoint that if there's some higher intelligence out there, that could be happening. But I don't believe everybody who's abducted is fucking abducted by an alien.
Or
All
their
right.
anal.
And anal probes. And the thing about that is my argument is this. My argument is that there's two camps. People are just reading a lot of books and having these false memories. And the other thing is I don't trust the fucking government. Those fuckers could be abducting people and fucking experimenting on them for all we know. I mean, given all the other conspiracy theories that came true about like Majestic 12 or MK Ultra and all that shit, where they were putting people under LSD and all the shit. So like, there's things I'm very skeptical of, and I try to take a logical approach to. And I did grow up in Patterson, in Bergen County, in Passaic County, and so I grew up in a culture, in a very mixed neighborhood culture. I grew up around Puerto Ricans, Boricuas, and Dominicans, and you know what I mean. We had Italians and Germans, and those Italian stregas, the witchcraft grandmothers. You know, that was
You
some shit.
had
When they
Brujas and all.
Brujas, yeah,
Really.
yeah. So I grew
Oh,
up
Brujas.
around I grew up around Santeria. I grew up around Palo. I grew up around the Stregas. I grew up around all this stuff. I grew up around, living in that melting pot corner of New Jersey. There's a lot of that. So I didn't grow up in the white suburbs. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, literally, there was a period of time me and my mom lived in the projects. So I grew up around a lot of culture and a lot of appreciation for that culture. And, so I wasn't shielded from, you could argue, the real world. You know what I mean? And then, I grew up in abuse life after a few years. I was in a really bad, my household became very bad. So I was always running away. I was always running to other people's homes for solace and peace until I was old enough to escape. So I was, again, there's just a lot of different cultures. So to see people practicing their faiths and hearing what other people believed in, the jinn and spirit and all this stuff and I mean, you go into an Asian household, for example, right? And as soon as you walk in the door, there's the family altar, with the picture of the grandmother and the grandfather, and there's the fruit and there's the incense. They're honoring their dead. They're honoring the spirits. That's their faith. So you grow up a lot around that. You can believe things. My skepticism comes from not wanting to be that person that believes everything they see, because that's the other part of my life, the rough and tumble part. You know what I mean? Where it was like, if it's in my face, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, exhaust all possibilities before you suddenly go, oh, ghost. Or, oh, that was grandma protecting me. No, maybe it wasn't grandma protecting me. Maybe I just fucking lucky and I tripped at the right time. You know what I mean? So, that's really, I think, when you're open-minded, you're capable of, and that comes from my youth, is that open-mindedness because of being in a melting pot.
Do you think because of that experience, you kind of covered the question I'm going to ask, but do you think, like, if people grew up unsheltered and had what you had, learning and understanding, we wouldn't have this divide that we see on a daily basis? or the fact that so much misinterpretation is spread so easily?
Well, I think you have two lines here. Basically, the information we're fed on the internet via the news, internet, influencers, everything, that's paid propaganda. And if you know anything about marketing and advertising, which I've spent the last 30 years in, you know, propaganda is a form of advertising, and it's a form of manipulation. And it takes a lot of advertising trope and it amplifies it. And the goal is not in this world is not to unify you, it's to keep you apart. Because when you could be kept apart and your emotions heightened, then you buy more. You buy more in, you fight harder. You don't dive into facts because you're driven on emotions. And it's basically the people who are open-minded, if you really start to think about it, they're the people who maybe they lean left, maybe they lean right. It just depends on the day of the week and the particular subject matter. They can believe left, they can believe right. Tuesday they're left, Wednesday they're right, Thursday they're in the middle, because they are open-minded. And I think what we see is if we pull the lens back and we look at the informational world around us, that propaganda is about this big compared to how much information is really out there and how much is really going on in the world. And you just have to dial back your emotions to be open-minded and not let anybody talk to you about anything, and just go do your own work. Go do your own reading. Go do your own research. Double up on that. And you can do it emotionally. Like if you're a firm, like if you are one of those emotionally driven people, you know what I mean? And all your decisions are made on emotion, then what you do is you go start to read some books about emotional control and controlling your environment and frequencies and energy, and still be fucking emotional, but learn how to control that shit in the environment around you. And then your mind's going to open up bigger. Right. So I think the divide is really created because it really is about fucking ad revenue, man. It's really about ad revenue. You know, I mean, the oldest saying in when it comes to media is, if it bleeds, it leads.
Exactly. I love that you covered that, because that's another thing. Like my degree is in how media affects human behavior. So I had to study how marketing affects people emotionally, how, you know, journalism went from telling the news to just selling headlines.
Selling the news, yep.
You know, they went, they were like, at this, there's a fire on the corner of 14th Street and to now giving ridiculous headlines just to sell a newspaper.
Well, even the fire thing, think about this here. Oh, fire, the house is on fire and the cops are all there on 14th and whatever, right? And then there was a time when they were like, you know, we hope they got everybody out of the house okay. Oh my God, you know, blah, blah, blah. Now it's immediately, who set the fire? Right? We set the trap. Now create that, like, who did this? Instead of like, hey, so-and-so, and these fine firefighters were able to save the 2 babies. That comes after.
Oh, no, or they, like I said, they'll word it in such a way to catch your attention. Then when you start reading the article, you're like, but that's not what the headline said.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, you know, you see it on YouTube too. Like I watch some of this shit and it's like, you know, for example, the ghost hunting shows, it's like, we almost got killed by a demon.
Uh-huh. How do you know it's a demon?
Yeah, exactly. Right? So, I mean, yeah, I think we're divided.
Paranormal shows are like a little out there.
Yeah, they are. But to go back to your question about dividing us, we're less divided than you really think, and we're as divided as what we see. When you think about it, I mean, one of the things that, you know, always has intrigued me with, let's say, protests or rallies is camera angles. Because if you know how to do a good camera angle, you can make 100 people look like 1,000 people, right? We don't even need AI for that. But now with AI, when you look at some of this footage, you know, you got 3 of the same guy in different poses in the audience. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, well, the one guy has 7 fingers. You know what I mean? And like, so, but it's not, we're not as divided as they want you to believe we are. I mean, I'm going to say this frankly, in political terms, we are a two-party country. We are a Republican, the GOP, we are a Democrat. And on the surface, both parties serve a really great purpose, but both parties have been usurped. Okay. And right now my feeling is that the GOP has been usurped by the hard Christian right. And the Democrat Party has been usurped by the socialist movement. And guess what? That sells.
Oh, it does.
That sells. Because
clickbait all day, all left, all right.
Yeah.
Left, right, up, down, this way, that way.
Yeah.
Run around,
I mean,
around.
I voted both ways in life. I voted Democrat, I voted Republican. At the end of the day, my job, I have a business to run, and I have people that depend on me. So I have to navigate what's coming, regardless of who I vote for. I have to navigate what's put in front of me so that I can continue to be successful. Can't play the victim, right? Can't sit here and go, oh, darn, my candidate wasn't voted for. Woe was me. What am I going to fucking do? I'm going to fucking do something.
Right. Keep it moving.
I'm going to navigate. What's the strategy? What's their strategy? What's my strategy? What's my plan B? What's my plan C? And again, the system is designed, in my experience, working in government contracting, doing bids, working with grants, working with small business, the system is designed for the people who don't have the ability to persist, they don't have the grit, and they don't have the willingness to forge ahead or get someone to help them to forge ahead. It's designed to get rid of those people. It is built that way because at the end of the day, we want the best. And that doesn't mean the best with a fucking IQ of like 2,000 and a Harvard fucking degree. We want the person that's going to complete the job. That's what the best means. So, it is designed to be hard for people. But that's the beauty of it is that if you're willing to take the step, what's that meme? You ever seen that meme? Don't let a crack patient outdo you. He's going to go figure out how to get his fucking fix every day. Right?
Listen, people don't understand. Like, there's people out there, like, I talk about it now, especially like when my dad went on the job, you needed a high school diploma. But his generation was a whole different breed of men and women, like a whole different, they were like hard work was like drilled into them because they had no other way to survive. The younger generation, no offense to them, unfortunately, they're a little fucking lazy. They're fucking lazy. Like, like you tell me you got to do this, or like the system, oh, I don't know what to do. Pick up a pen and you could fucking write it out. You don't have to type out an authorization. Technically, when I learned how to do authorizations or I did filing, I had to fucking go to every courthouse in New York State to fucking file shit. That's why I know what I know.
Right.
I had to write out authorizations, whether it was 100 of them, sit there and write out pick up a pen and write it out.
Well, to be fair to every generation, it's a 50-50 split, in my opinion. Every generation,
What I was saying towards that is now, like, I think NYPD, now you no longer need a college degree. Now they went back to having a high school diploma. And I'm like, half the cops you have brought on the job are barely responsible or mature enough to do what they're doing.
Sure.
But now you're bringing it down to, you're lessening it, at least with them having 60 credits. They have an idea that they went to school, they got up, they understand that this is the responsibility. Some people right out of high school still don't understand that. Some of them are late bloomers. And I think it in the sense, you're giving this person a weapon.
Sure.
How are you they're responsible? So that's like my mindset. So I understand where you're coming from. And I agree with you 1000. I think like you, I could go left, I could go right, but I also do my research.
Right.
I take my time to read things. I'm that person that I don't read the summary that's given to you of a new law. I'm reading all 900 or 1,000 pages.
Right. I understand that. Sure. I mean, listen, when you're doing government contracting, federal contracting, there's something called FAR, which is Federal Acquisition Regulation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot. But you have to, when you register in SAM.gov to become a contractor and get your unique identifier, you have to check off the boxes that you read this stuff, that you acknowledge it. You can't just randomly do it, because I can tell you right now, if you've just randomly checked off all those things and said, yes, I read them, and you make one fuck up on a contract,
you're
one
done.
financial fuck up, you can literally be in jail for 45 fucking days or more, 5 years.
And
You
a
know what I
fine.
mean? And a fine, have to pay in some cases 3 times what the contract was back, or some ridiculous number. So yeah, you have to people have to take the time to do the research. They have to, but again, the system is very specifically designed to for those people who are willing to be patient, to be persistent, and to do the work. It's also, there's resources out there, and that's the other half of my business, is the Procurement Com brand. That's our business resource. Plus, we have a not-for-profit as well that we just launched, and that's online this year, to help small business people, to get them, because we understand that the guy that wakes up in the morning who's running a bakery, he's got to be up at 3 in the morning doing bread, baking bread, doing all this stuff. And maybe he wants to sell bread to the local schools, right? He's got to go through this process of writing a bid, becoming a contractor, all this stuff. But he's got to bake that fucking bread. Plus, he has his sticks and bricks, right? He's got to run a business. He may not have time for that. So he's going to miss out because he doesn't have time. The system is designed with the resources out there for him to go, hey, I need help. As long as he asks for the help is there for him to become that person, write that bid, and make that happen. The person who just is like, yeah, fuck this, they're not gonna survive that system. And that's why the system is designed that way, because they don't want the guy who's gonna go fuck this. They want the guy who's gonna be up at 3 o'clock in the morning baking the bread. And the entire way we operate businesses, it's we all start a business wearing every hat. You're the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the marketing person, social media marketing person. You're the product manager. You're everything under the sun. And at some point, you have to start, letting your baby grow up and start delivering that responsibility, and allow other people to take over that responsibility from you, so you can continue to elevate your brand and your business. And so that eventually too, maybe you don't have to wake up in the morning to bake bread. You can go bid that contract to get, to sell bread to the school system. So, the way we treat ourselves in business too is we have to be cognizant of how we behave as well. You talk about understanding consumer behaviorisms, similar to, business behaviors, is there are people who get in their own way because they refuse to relinquish control. And they wear all 7 hats, and they might hire people, but they micro fucking manage. You know what I mean? And they end up with some version of success that works for them, maybe, or they end up with a shit show, and then they don't own the shit show. They don't own that they're responsible. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, themselves.
We have to, for anybody who's a business owner that watches your show, some of that, what I'm saying, they know it's the truth. They wear 27 fucking hats. At some point, they got to let go if they want to elevate their game, and that's the reality of it. But anyway, how did we get to this fucking track? I don't know.
It's what you do. And we found out about your non-for-profit and your other company, but we'll come. We're going full circle now. Back, you brought up oh my god, now what is it? AlterCon. Yes. So we said if you get tickets for April, you get a free ticket for AlterCon. Yep. AlterCon is this whole supernatural paranormal, from what I remember, paranormal con.
Cryptid event. Yeah.
Yeah, cryptid. I forgot that word. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Con. Like, what are people that are interested in this video? Because I didn't even think there was a con for that. I
there's
didn't learn
lots of
about
cons
it
for
until
it.
I started doing my homework on you.
There's lots of cons for them, and that's the beauty of it. Is it's kind of growing. As far as the paranormal community and the cryptid community, it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing. These cons are all over the place, and I mean, when you have a lot of that stuff on TV for the last decade, it only stands to reason that you're eventually going to have a convention or an expo for it. It really,
Especially the whole Conjuring series and
yeah,
everything, all these
yeah,
paranormal shows that you see. What was that? Well, one of my favorite, like, fictional paranormal was Supernatural, but then
yeah.
you have these ghost hunters.
Yep, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Lockdown. These are all great shows. And then, with YouTube, the whole new generation of ghost hunters, scary quotes. Um, you know, um, makes sense. I mean, what I try to do with my cons is I try to create experiences. What's more important to me is not how many asses I could put in a room. I mean, there's certainly one asses for the business. I want people to come for the businesses, right? The business has got to make money. Hence the reason we postponed Pop. We wanted a bigger crowd. We wanted to get more draw. I got businesses I'm committed to. You know what I mean? And all these celebrities are technically freelancers. So they're businesses as well. So what we want to do is create unique experiences and, make it very festive and things like that. So what I'm trying to create is not just a con, but an experience. And that's really important. Good experiences for my vendors, good experiences for my celebrities, and good experiences for the fans, because I want them to feel like they didn't just go to another market with celebrities, or, okay, here's the entertainment happening in the middle of the room, and that's everybody's now going to the stage, and what happens to all the vendors. Like, those things bother me. So I'm trying to figure out how to do things a little bit differently so that, maybe in the middle of the show floor, instead of having a stage where everybody's drawn to for entertainment, the entertainment is moving about the crowd. Things like that, where we're doing that sort of stuff to create the experiences so people have good times. One of the things we do too with our VIP stuff is we try to keep the price really low. And so, and I explain that to every one of my guests. We don't share the VIP because we don't make any money on the VIP. We make barely enough money on the VIP because we want people to have their experiences with you as a guest. We'll help you make money other ways. We'll help you. We'll get a video booth, and you could charge for your videos with people. We'll help you make some money. So that's really like how we're trying to work our events, where they're more experiences.
The prices are amazing, because, like I said, I've paid $600 and something for New York Comic Con, and I don't even want to take my kids because it's just as expensive. Like, you even have that, like, kids under a certain age are free with the paying adult. So it makes it more family friendly, because a lot of families are on a budget.
And that's it, right? And that was one of the reasons too. We were thinking, like, if we do this gallery reading with April Boussette, if we give everybody's going to buy a ticket. It's only a 2-hour show, and I still got to pay April, and I still got to pay the venue. So it's not a hefty ticket price, but it's still, for 2 hours, and then you're buying your own drinks because the hotel, takes the receipts on the bar, right? So I had to figure out, how do I make that price for 2 hours worth something more? So that's why we're giving away the ticket with AlterCon. You know what I mean? So that there's more value for them. And, we don't want to do the other thing we're trying to make sure that we always avoid. And we've seen it work well at other cons, is you pay your entry fee and you could get online and get an autograph, and then you pay for the autograph when you're there or whatever. And we like that model. We think that's a great model, as opposed to, here's the show floor, but if you want to go meet the celebrities, you got to pay a different ticket price. I think that's fucking stupid. I hate that shit when I see those cons going on. I'm seeing a lot of cons not do that, but I still see a lot of cons do it.
Oh, it's there.
You know,
It's there.
um,
I've been seeing it. I've been seeing like sometimes I feel bad for certain vendors because no one knows they're there, or people
yeah,
not paying attention because they're focused either on the entertainment or the bigger stars show up and nobody wants to be there to you know
yeah. See,
take their time and walk the con.
if I can't get a celebrity, if I can't say to a celebrity, "Hey, come with me," and bring them over to a few booths to do a few photos, I don't know that I want that celebrity back at my show, right? Um, and they could be the sweetest people in the world, but give these people 10 minutes of your time. Let's go meet with this guy or that guy, these vendors, and if I can bring a celebrity around, and there's definitely a few celebrities in the pool at AlterCon that are more than happy to go meet with vendors and take photos. They're going to do it, and that draws. That's attractive, right? That draws to the vendors. That brings people in. We've told vendors, if you have coupons, if there's something, an idea that you have to draw people to your table, we'll deliver it.
Oh,
Let
that's
us know
awesome.
what you want to do. You know, because again, it's about the businesses. I love fans because I'm a fan myself. I'm working on the experiences for you guys, but my responsibility is to get sales for vendors.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
mission objective is business support. You know, um,
I went to
and
a tattoo convention and it was fucking awesome. Like they had entertainment going on and then you have all these tattoo artists and then they had like um uh The Rock's brand was there promoting his new tattoo line and there was like a liquor brand there promoting and then there was like different things and you didn't have to get a tattoo there. You could sign up to get one and get one. I got two. But that's just me. But I ended up meeting different artists, and actually one of the artists is a Puerto Rican artist, and he's actually doing a guest spot here in New York. And I saw that, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm now getting tattooed by him. But it was a nice experience. But the way they had the layout, it was like, shit, more cons needs to be like this. It wasn't focused on one particular thing.
right,
And they spread it in such a way that you had to walk and see
yeah.
and talk. It was
Well,
like
that's
an amazing
yeah,
networking event because sometimes
yeah.
people don't understand these cons are technically also networking events.
They are technically networking events, and I mean, we're doing so. For example, our show floor at ACX1, and it doesn't matter. It could be in Edison, could be in Eisenhower Center, wherever we go. Our celebrities are the outer ring. The inner ring is all the vendors and the experiences, right? The photo booth, the video booth, all that stuff. So that outer ring of celebrities, that group of people, they can move in and out to while they're waiting to go to a celebrity. They don't have to go stuffed in a room somewhere. You know what I mean? I've seen those where celebrities are put in rooms, and that's not good for them either. Because if there's this side hall that nobody knows about, you know what I mean? Here's the celebrity going, well, I may not be the biggest fucking celebrity in the world, but I kind of do have a following, and nobody's showing up. That sucks. You know, because all these people are just like us. They're squirrel trying to get a nut. You know, that's what they are. So, we work out, I constantly look at the layouts for those reasons to try to figure out what the best layout's going to be. Um, Again, it's mission critical is the small business community, the entrepreneurs, right? That's mission critical. Because we started out supporting, once we started to get into doing the event productions, we started in the B2B space, the business to business space, and it was all about supporting small businesses. So that's just carrying over to the fan events.
That's awesome because at the end of the day, a lot of the businesses that are at cons are small businesses.
Yeah.
Like you see them. I found a lady that makes characters out of crystals. I'm a crystal puff. Come on. I got an Eevee and an Umbreon crystal. Okay? That's awesome. I even got his little small Grogu crystal. I want my crystals to now be all shaped. Like that's amazing stuff to see,
Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there.
there is so much talent, and I feel like that's why when I do go to cons and I cover something, I call them my little con hidden gems and focus on like little things that people don't take the time to pay attention
Yeah.
or like really focus on because I understand you want a picture with your celebrity, you're a huge fan. Yeah, but if you took the time and see what else is there, it will be an even more enjoyable experience. And like you said, you're all about that patron having that experience. And that's what makes it amazing. I am like so excited for when Pop does come back. I'm
Well,
looking
Popped, we're going to see. I mean, listen, in adversity, there's opportunity. We're looking at that. I'm looking at adding 2 additional experiences to the event and possibly extending it to 2 days.
Yeah, I heard that 2-day thing. That is awesome.
So we're going to see what I will know probably by the middle of March where that all lands for that. Because I'll be no promises, but I'm working on with one of your favorites, Jeff Goodwin, special effects artist Jeff Goodwin. We're working on because he just found out that they're going to be releasing his book, the anniversary book of Blue Velvet.
Yeah, he was saying it.
Right, so that's coming out. So we may be doing a Blue Velvet retrospective at Popped. And then I have to talk to the guy who's putting together the original Bad News Bears movie, doing a cast reunion. They're looking to possibly join us at Pop, so I have to work all those details out. I'm looking at a few more show cars. We got the General Lee, but now I'm looking to see if I can get more show cars. So yeah, we're looking to bring some additional stuff there. Possible screening from one of Ginger Lynn Allen's movies as well. So again, this is why we're looking at this 2-day opportunity. Plus, we're looking at it in the summer to get that beach crowd, right? Because January, February, March is that curse quarter. That's that curse at the shore. It's such a bad quarter for the beach communities to generate any business. And we were hoping we could change that, but we really couldn't. So we decided, again, to postpone Pop so that we can.
With the indoor water park, they're still not getting much traction.
Nah, the January, February, March. If you look at the January, February, March, just from consumer behaviors, January is the post-holiday season. Everybody's broke. Payments come due usually 1st of February. Everybody's still broke. You know what I mean? They're not really, the buying power is not really there. By February, cabin fever sets in. People are starting to get that winter depression. They're getting the blahs. They don't want to do anything. The weather sucks. You have snow, you have rain, this, that. It's just this really sort of, from a consumer, behavioral perspective, it's just a really bad part of the year. But once you get past that spring, March 21st, suddenly there's this shift. People are now excited. We have better weather coming out. People are going for walks, riding bikes, taking their dogs out, thinking about vacations. They've made some payments and paid off some credit cards. You know what I mean? They're starting to get back into the flow of that active thing. So that's really, it's this combination, you know what I mean? Atlantic City is also this sort of city in the middle of nowhere, so to speak. Like, people are not going to come out of New York for a day. They want to come for a weekend if they're going to Atlantic City, anything North Jersey. Most of your market out there is, Philly, West, going out west over Toms River, Bass River, the area up there. So a lot of it is, it's just really hard to fulfill, the promise to put business in the room for businesses. So switching it to summer gives me the boardwalk months, gives me the crowd on the boardwalk. I could put a street team on the boardwalk for a week, sell tickets right there through the digital, the tablets. And the nice thing about it is that I was able to, making this move, I'm able to lower the all access pass price to Popped. I think we lowered it to $15 pre-sale.
Wow. That is nice.
Be 20 at the door, and that gives you access to autographs and everything else. Um, Workshops. I mean, VIPs are not going to change; they're going to stay the price they are, but and they're going to remain limited. All our VIP stuff is limited to 10 people tickets per celebrity. That's it.
No, you have to do that because they want that one-on-one experience.
Yeah.
I think the best person that I to me, the best way to explain it is like when Disney does certain like special events, like they're not so scary, is when you get to go trick-or-treating around Disney. It's a limited amount of tickets, and those are the people that stay there, and they literally get the rest of the regular Disney goer crowds out of the park, and they do not play. Like, they give you special bands. If you don't have that special band, you are being escorted out of the park, and it's a better experience. You could Now it's not so crowded, and you get to have these one-on-one interactions. So it's understandable for your VIPs in a marketing sense, but also at the same time for the consumers um experience to be a lot
Absolutely.
better. They're not
Right.
overcrowded. They get to feel like, "Oh my god, I'm
It's a
having,"
memory.
and that
They're making
memory
memories.
sells and keeps them coming back, especially that
Yeah.
experience. So, and then I know you have, is it the Cryptic or the Halfway to Halloween? Halfway to Halloween is in May.
Halfway to Halloween is in May. We're starting to book people now for that.
And then the Cryptic Expo is in
That's the
April.
same thing as that's with AlterCon.
Okay, so
Same
that's
thing.
together
Okay.
with AlterCon.
It's AlterCon and the Great American Cryptid Expo.
Okay, and then Arcane, I think, is the
Arcane
next one.
College, that's in North Jersey. That's at the Eisenhower Conference Center. That's not an expo. That is literally school. That is no joke. We have a lecture hall, which will be running lectures all day, and then we have classes all day. And we have 4 tracks. The tracks are divination, investigative techniques, the metaphysical. What's the 4th track? And lore and theory. So these are literally classes being taught, by people in the field. We have Dustin Parry, who's going to be teaching, and he's from Ghost Hunters. He's one of the original Ghost Hunters. He's going to be teaching. I have Marlena Beers will be teaching. I think she's a Chaos Witch. Quite a few other things. And then like investigative techniques. I have Mike Castro coming, and he's going to be talking about false positive readings, how to determine the difference in ghost hunting. And so that literally is a classroom day. Now there will be a vendor space, but that's more just because, it's really about the people having tables and giving some people some opportunities. But that's all about, education. That's literally what it is. It's an educational forum for the arcane, the supernatural, the metaphysical, all that stuff, paranormal, to really drill down for people who want more knowledge about it, who might be interested in becoming a ghost hunter. Maybe they think they're not sure if they're psychic or not, and they want to see like how they do it. It's basically, that again, that education. Don't rub the lamp if you don't want to give those 3 wishes, because we know the real story about Aladdin.
Yeah, it's not that Disney version, people. There's no a friend like me. And then I know you have also another expo. It's not a con, it's an expo for cybersecurity.
Sure, that's on our B2B side. That's happening in June. So that is really that event is structured for 3 levels of business per se. The first, sort of that first level, that top level, these are the people who are already doing defense contracting or national security contracting, or maybe they're responsible for the cybersecurity at the state of New Jersey level. That's for that first sort of tier of panels and lectures we're going to be having. Then we have the mid-size, the mid-range business that is kind of getting into the government contracting or the higher level cybersecurity, banking, or businesses that have to have data protected, like insurance companies or doctors' offices. For those people, we have a whole education track on financial security. TD Bank is going to be putting that one on. We have Small Business Administration is going to be doing live certifications on the spot that day for 3 hours, so people get their businesses certified. And we have some other classes with that. Then in the afternoon, we have 3-hour intensive grant response class, how to write award-winning grant for your business in the tech or cybersecurity innovation field. And then we're also going to be doing something called BidFest with another not-for-profit called Epic, which was founded by the director of the Hudson County Office of Business Opportunity, Marquise Abraham, who is also a board member on my not-for-profit. And he's going to be doing something called BidFest, where businesses get to come in for the day, solid 8-hour workday, and bid on a real contract and submit that bid. So it's a highly intensive, small business development event that we're putting together. That's going to be down in Atlantic City. Right now, it's scheduled for the Golden Nugget, but it may move it over to the Showboat. I have to find out next week. And that just might be just, and I'm only doing that because it may be more just cost effective parking wise and things like that.
Oh, parking's horrible out there.
Oh, it's horrible.
Parking in Atlantic City.
Yeah, it's horrible. So
I don't even want to move the car.
Yeah. So that event's going to be, that's really for the small business community. It's not for people just trying to figure out what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Those events will be launching later through our not-for-profit, those exploratory type events. That's a brand that we call BizCon. And that's for the small businesses who, the mom and pop shops or the kitchen table business that they're ready to elevate, or they want to try something new, or they're looking for resources, or they're looking for grants, or they're looking for loans and things like that. So we'll be launching that later this year, or maybe next year. We're not sure yet. But that's our B2B event in the cybersecurity AI sector.
Okay. And I know one that I think I have to remember it because it's like my daughter's favorite movie, WickedCon, right?
Wicked Garden. Yeah. So right before Wicked Garden in September, we have what's called Procurement Con. That's a whole government contracting event. It's a whole government contracting event, and that is where people who are ready to jump into the government contracting space, as well as people who are seasoned in the government contracting space. And so we haven't programmed that yet, but that's going to be, pretty solid. We'll be bringing in federal agencies, state agencies. We'll be bringing in actual bid opportunities, grant opportunities. That's a whole day of that. But Wicked Garden is a 2-day film festival, horror and sci-fi film festival, which film submissions are open on filmfreeway.com. So if you're a filmmaker and you want to submit, if you're a student filmmaker, if you're an indie filmmaker, we have opportunities for student filmmakers to submit. We have opportunities for indie filmmakers in the categories of short and feature. And we'll be selecting submissions from Film Freeway up until probably August. We were gonna stop in May, but we decided to extend it to August. So I got to update that actually. But we're going to be taking submissions all through the year, and then those winners will be featured at Wicked Garden. We'll have that. Will also that's an exhibition event, so there's going to be vendors there, special effects stuff, and clothes, and this and that, whole slew of stuff. We might even be working on some classes in there. I'm in talks right now with a couple of people to possibly teach some filmmaking classes at Wicked Garden as well. I have to talk to a young lady who she does wardrobe for films. She's an award-winning wardrobe manager for a lot of major films, and see if she's willing to come down and do a class there. So we may have classes at that as much as we'll be featuring films. So it's and then of course guest stars, right? Directors, movie stars, everybody in the horror sci-fi genre will have that. So it's not just your typical film festival where you go bouncing around to movie theaters to watch shit. You know what I mean? It's a full-on expo event. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the expos, you have the cons, you have a non-for-profit, you're a business owner, you handle marketing, art, production, working on films. You wrote a book, right? Or not yet? Yes, we wrote a book. What don't you do, Eric? But let's talk about the book before what don't you do. Tell me about this book.
So this is myself and actress and director and business partner Tina Kraus. This is our urban exploration book. It's available on Amazon.com. It's called Real American Graffiti, and it's more than anything. It's a picture book, photos of places that we've been, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So there are words in here. I did write words, and when I went back and I reread it, I'm like, oh, I'm a horrible writer. Look at, I found a typo. But we've explored places like in New Orleans, Nomot, which is an abandoned old military facility right there in, I believe it's the 8th Ward. And so it's a beautiful structure, and there's a lot of amazing graffiti in it. Explored some haunted cemeteries along the way. We love our graffiti. So so this is available in hard.
I have to ask, is oh my god, how am I forgetting my New York history? What was our building here in New York with all the graffiti?
5 points. 5 points.
Is it in there? Did you get it?
No.
That would have been nice.
I was heartbroken. Heartbroken.
That was our history there for artists.
Yeah, they ruined it. So, artists, but yeah, I mean, this is why we're doing it. Me and Tina are doing stuff like this. We've explored cemeteries, we've explored abandoned old buildings. I'm more of the graffiti hunter and the cemetery explorer. She's more of the abandoned building explorer. But a lot of our cemeteries are slowly disappearing as well. Our historic cemeteries, sometimes they get found under brush.
Greenwood in Brooklyn?
Yep, I've been to Greenwood in Brooklyn. I've actually fed the birds as well.
My son's high school, I was actually really shocked. My son's high school actually took the kids on a trip there to talk about not only the history, but the architectural structures and stuff like that.
It's amazing.
So, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Cemeteries are open air sculpture parks, especially the older ones. And, before they were using just making basic, carving a name in and stuff like that, there was people chipping away stone to make these statues. And so this is it's art, and the artists are lost. We don't know a lot of who carved that cemetery stone, who carved that beautiful statue. So yeah, and when you really start to dig into, there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of history. A lot of who we are is buried in these old cemeteries. A lot of historic people that we don't know who they are. They're never mentioned in the history books, who may have made only a tiny mark at their top today by comparison, but at their time, that tiny mark was huge. So I'm a big cemetery explorer. She's a big building explorer. I'm a big graffiti hound. So that was our first book. We're going to do another book, but that's available on Amazon, Real American Graffiti, hardcover, softcover, and digital. So yeah. So
now the question is, what don't you do?
So what don't I do? Well, I mean, I clean the house like everybody else does. I cook like everybody else does.
Not everyone cooks, Eric.
I hate packaged food. So I try to cook from scratch. But that's really, it's like when I'm a cyclist, right? So I road cycle, and that's more mental health. Cooking is mental health, not just physical health, but it's mental health. It's I'm working 16 hours in a day. Let me take 2 hours to go cook and eat. You know what I mean? Unless I really can't, then I order pizza. But for the most part, that's mental health. Riding my bike is physical health and mental health. I need those breaks, right? So in the question of what I don't do, I don't fix cars. I don't, I'm not a therapist. I don't want to solve people's fucking problems unless I have to, unless there's a benefit to doing so. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be happy to play mediator for somebody when they got good energy, right? And it's just silliness. We just need to get away from the emotion because it's a benefit to me to do it, right? I'm very self-centered, believe me. Um, I don't sew. I can't sew to save my life. I try to sew a patch on something, the patch falls off, and I'm like, well, how the fuck did that happen? Um, you know, there's but everything I do is connected. That's the thing. It's all connected. The one linear thread in there is mission businesses, success for businesses. And everything else is just a platform, right? It's the platform, and I'm using my expertise and I'm using my resources. And, it's, and then the other linear in there is all creative. Marketing is creative, advertising is creative, writing a book is creative, painting pictures is creative, all of it's creative, creating experience is creative. So, I mean, if there's anything, it's really, I'm not all over the map, or I'm not doing 100 things. I'm doing one thing. I'm being creative, and I'm supporting small businesses.
That's awesome. Like, you are like, I thought I lived in chaos.
My chaos is very controlled.
I thought I lived in chaos, and like hearing you speak and all you do, and me doing my research about all these events you do, I was like, damn, I thought I did a lot.
No, it's controlled chaos. And I mean, that's the thing. I like controlled chaos. It is chaos, but I control it. And when something comes in that should seem unexpected, I expect it. And, and that comes from, I've read 3 books over and over again for 20 years, 25 years, or maybe even more. And that's Sun Tzu's The Art of War, Machiavelli's The Prince, and the 48 Laws of Power. Right? And, those are constant reminders on how to be strategic and prepare everything and be tactical about it. And, because you can't have strategy without tactic, and you can't have tactics without strategy. And that's really important. And then, people often be like, oh my God, Machiavelli. Oh, that's evil. That's evil. No, it's not evil. You're just fucking stupid. You don't understand it. When you think about like the Machiavellian principles, they're not his principles. They're what he observed. And he wrote about them, and he wrote what was good and was bad and the results. When you read the 48 laws of power, these were all historical people who did very significant things to manage, maintain, and control their environment. So, when you're constantly strategizing and looking at all the dots, remember connect the dots when you were a kid, right? That's all that is. It's a controlled chaos. It's how does it fit? And if it doesn't fit, I'm not going to fuck with it.
Exactly. I rather walk away from something than collect regret. And that also goes like Machiavelli is The Prince is one of my favorite books. Like, my book is so worn. It's not even funny. I love The Art of War. I read the 48
Laws of Power, which some chick, my old social media person, stole that book. If you're watching, bitch, give it to me back. Yeah, I'm looking for
but
probably
Machiavelli's The Prince is like my all-time favorite. Like, I'm getting excited because my son's in high school now, and he's starting to get into certain things, and I can't wait for him to be like, okay, here, you got to read this book. Like, I'm a little upset. Like, they took away certain reads that when we were younger, we read them, like Catcher in the Rye.
Yep, Catcher in the Rye.
Fire.
Of Mice and Men.
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies.
These are amazing books. The Great Gatsby, but I think they still have The Great Gatsby. But these are amazing reads, and these are historical reads. I don't know if they still do Crucible too, because the Crucible was a take on McCarthyism, but he used the Salem witch trials to explain McCarthyism.
Right.
So
Well, again, George Orwell's 1984.
that
You
that
know,
the other one, or Fahrenheit
Fahrenheit 451.
451.
Yeah.
These all are amazing books that I think everyone in society should sit down and read because
But it doesn't fit with the
it gains so
current.
much knowledge.
It doesn't. Okay, so now I'm going to get conspiratorial here. It doesn't fit with the current socialist narrative. I'm going to say that because if you actually follow, if you've ever read The Art of War, and you've ever read The Prince and things like that, you understand that you destabilize a country through its youth by controlling what they learn. So when you
Exactly.
have stories like Fahrenheit 451, Animal Farm, 1984,
Got another one,
these are
Animal Farm.
these are all stories about fascism, socialism, and communism, and all the things that are wrong with those societies in the world, because they're very American stories. And when you start to when you want to take that narrative away, you remove that from the curriculum, right? So I forget, and it circulated the internet. But I think it was back in 1980 something. They had some television host had a ex KGB guy explaining it on how it's a 20-year mission to destabilize a nation through the youth through indoctrination.
Come on,
And
they don't even teach script anymore in school.
Yeah, you see what happened here in Jersey? They brought it back.
Oh, they did?
Yep, it's mandatory
I
now.
remember they took script away. My son was learning it, and I think when he got to the 3rd grade, they took it away.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
so
they're not going to know how to freaking sign their damn names. I've had clients younger than me, and I'm like, sign your name, and they just print it. I'm like, sign your name,
Yeah. So here's
John
the thing.
Hancock.
You'll have to look this up because I don't have access to it while I'm talking to you. There was a study done, an independent study about critical thinking and cognitive reasoning done in the Gen Z. And for the first time in history, the generation is dumber than the previous generation in those areas of critical thinking and cognitive reasoning. And the finding was literally the system of everything being digital, of the easy access to information. Literally that meme where they say the internet was supposed to make us smarter, it made us dumber, actually came true.
It did.
Because there was no, people didn't have to do research. They didn't have to go to the library and look at the Dewey Decimal System to go find a book and find a page and find a paragraph, right? They can just, boom, there it is. And they didn't have to, there was no cognitive skills there. There was no cognitive reasoning there. There was no critical thinking there. And I wish I can remember what college did this, but there's just, maybe I read it maybe a month or two ago, that this is the generation that actually the first generation in history that is dumber than the previous generation. So that means that every generation, from the silent generation through the boomers, through Gen X, through millennials, all were smarter than the previous generation.
I always say the lack of common sense. It was Harvard. Harvard did it. I think Harvard. Wait, from what I googled, several colleges and universities conducted studies, implemented major initiatives to study and improve critical thinking, including Harvard University, which analyzed factual teaching method, Texas A&M University, Mays Business Schools partnered with the Council for Aid to Education to study and improve critical thinking instruction, while the University of Louisville adopted the Paul Elder model guide to its curriculum research. So it was University of Louisville, Harvard University, Texas A&M, Stanford Graduate School of Education, St. Cloud State University and Winona State University, BMCC, which is a CUNY school, US Mass Boston, Pace University, and Beijing Normal University, and AACNU, which is the Association of American Colleges and Universities that conducted the study.
Yeah. And so we have a generation dumber than the last.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt.
Well, listen, I mean, look, common sense and
my thing is every day, like in like I have grown to become the woman I am. Especially after being a survivor. I had to go through different things. I was raised from an old school generation and an old school and then cultural and historical and then growing up in the shadows of the NYPD. My logic is all over the place. And then being a nerd and reading all these books, like I am a total different breed. People like come to me and they'll hit me and I'm like, bro, I am not paid enough to deal with stupid. And then when I'm off of work and people come to me with stupidity, I'm like, you're not paying me to deal with stupid. So unless you're paying me, I don't want to know nothing about it. And I'm also a point. Like I rather walk away than deal with disrespect, disloyalty, you know, people using oneself, because we see it a lot, in especially in any industry. People use you to get to other people. And sometimes it's best to just walk away from a situation than to blow up. And I think that's where I've grown as a person, as a woman. But then being a spiritual person and a person that has learned to just leave it alone, because if you're protected or you have spiritual guides, they take things into their own hands because they don't like seeing their person hurt.
Karma's a bitch.
Karma's a big bitch. And I've learned to just like, hey, I'll walk away. And then people are like, oh, but what if you run into them? Or I don't talk to my own brother. Like I sit at a table with my brother and like nothing's there. I'll have a whole conversation, go about my business. And you told me that I'm dead to you. No problem. I had the funeral, everything.
Yeah, no, listen.
God bless you. Keep it moving.
You know, that's the thing. Like, I'm not a gatekeeper, right? You want to know somebody? I'll introduce you. You know what I mean? If it's one of those things that has value, yeah, I might police a little bit because I'm not going to want you to say something fucking stupid, right? I might be really careful with who I introduce people to, you know, but I'm not gatekeeping. So I'm not be like, oh, you got to pay me a finder's fee, or you got to sign this NDA, or blah blah blah. Because here's the deal: when you're in the business world of business, it's too fluid. It's too much happening. There's too many. The 6 degrees separation goes to like 4 and 3 and 2. You know what I mean? There's none of that. Like, oh well, you know, why are you talking to so and so? That's my contact. Well, I met that motherfucker at a conference in Idaho, bitch. We're not playing this game. Okay, so I don't play that game. I may be very careful in the sense, like, I don't want to put the wrong people in front of people that I'm working with. So I'm very, you know, I'll police that. I'll vet them before I make that intro. And believe me, I've met some really sweet people who are dumb as a doorknob. I will not put them in front of certain people.
People that you think are good, and they're just fucking. It's just fake as fuck. And like,
and
but
again, you have to deal with that. Well, you don't.
You have
know
to
what?
deal with it in this industry.
Yeah, no. In general, you have to just deal with people, whether it's in the industry or just fucking street life.
Any industry, like, and when I say industry, I'm not just talking about what you do, what I do. I'm talking about like any industry. You're going to see it. Listen, I had guys date me for my contacts when I was younger.
Listen, everybody. Look, you can't get away from users. You can't get away from fake. You can't get away from real. Some people don't want to hear real. Remember that. They will avoid you like the fucking plague because they'll be like, hey, what? How do you think I look? And I'll be like, well, you look like you just woke up. You might want to fix your hair. And they never want to talk to you fucking again. Bitch, you're
I
walking
tell
into
people
a
all
black
the time.
tie affair.
Let me explain something. I tell people all the time, if you want to hear that you look good, do not ask me. Do
Yeah,
not
yeah,
ask
yeah.
me. Like, I'll be nice and I'll go about it nice, like, hey, fix this, or I'll like help you adjust. But if you like look like shit, I'm gonna be like, yo, bro, like,
Yeah.
go
Well, to
put
my
something
point,
else on.
to my
I
point,
I also am that person that I tell people what I would want them to tell me.
sure.
I don't I don't want you to lie or sugarcoat shit. Just give me the hard truth
Yeah, no,
and
listen,
that's it.
I'm there, and there's people in the world that can't take it, and I'm okay with that. I'm very much okay with that. Um, you know, it's been a long road. For example, like, I'll give you a good example. When we started working with the government stuff on repping there, helping them rep themselves in the business communities and things like that, they're like, Eric, you can't say that. Well, rule number one, don't ever use the word can't with Eric. You shouldn't say that. Rule number two, don't do shouldn't either. You know,
Makes you want to do it more.
yeah, it makes me want to do more. And I said, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna dumb my shit down for you. I know how to strategically place the word fuck. Do not worry. I will not make you look bad. And for a while, people were like, stay away from this guy. Stay away. But meanwhile, I just kept doing my thing. I kept being like, SBA are the baddest motherfuckers out there. And they're like, Eric, you can't say that about us. Yes, I can. I don't work for you. And you are badass motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh God. You know what I mean? But now it's, it's like, okay, Eric's gonna Eric. You know what I mean? And some people come around to that. And certainly I've dialed it back out of respect for them, right? I've dialed a lot of it back out of respect for them. So there's this mutual respect. But some people, they can't take that kind of truth, and so they dodge away. Then the fake people can't take that kind of truth because they have no counter. Because when people are fake, in the sense, and again, fake is different to a lot of people, right? Because the way you're brought up or whatever, like I see some people that they seem fake, but if you're in the industry long enough, you understand that's their political face. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily fake. It's the political face because this is what they have to do in front of the cameras. Um, but you sort of learn that stuff. But generally, people who are pure fucking full of bullshit, they don't have a counter. They don't have a counter. They respond with emotion. Um, People who are, we're always going to have people trying to get your black book. So that's my attitude is like, you want my black book? You're more than welcome to have it. What are we going to do though? Like, one, what do you want to do with that black book? Why do you want to talk to that person? How do I fit in? I'm happy to make the introduction, but I want to make sure it doesn't reflect bad on me. I don't want $1. I just want to make sure it doesn't reflect bad on me.
Image
You
is
can say
everything.
fuck. You can say all the curse words. You can say fuck, piss, shit, all you want. You can smoke as much weed as you want with these people. I don't give a shit as long as it doesn't reflect bad on me. And there's sort of that unwritten rule with me. It's if you fuck it up, you're fucked. You are out of this fucking ecosystem. You are out of this circle. I keep a tight circle. Everybody in my ecosystem is highly vetted, massively loyal. You know what I mean? Because I run my business like this. I run my
I was just
business.
gonna ask, like, how do you go about protecting yourself and your business and your brand? And that
So I
I think
run my.
that's something not only I want to know, but I think there's plenty of business or people that are going through certain things in whether it's in this industry or something. How do you go about it? Because in my sense, you're a fucking badass. I think you're like the
I
male version of me.
I go about it in a way that nobody else really can go about it, and that's because of my history. So, little background history is, let's just say I have a criminal one, and we'll leave it there.
Okay.
So I understand that plight and those barriers when you have a record. You know what I mean? When you're a high school dropout, when you have a record, when you do bad things in life, I understand the barriers, and that's something I can never like relate to gender barriers with women. I can never relate to BIPOC barriers, you know, but I can relate to resistance because of something. I understand that. So, and the reason I put that out there is because I never want to sound like I get the gender right. Oh, I understand what it's like to be a woman. I have no fucking idea. I understand what it's like to be black. I have no fucking idea. What I do understand is barriers. But going back to your question, I think this is how I run my business and I could get away with it. I don't think everybody can, is because of the way I grew up, because of my background, because of my history. I run my business like the best parts of a family. Okay. And that's loyalty, that's being there in time of need, that's treating people in my company as family. You know what I mean? And bring them into that inner fold where they're coming to the family barbecue. You know what I mean? It's not a company barbecue. It's family. You know what I mean? Hang your beer belly ass out and go enjoy yourself. You know what I'm saying? Um, and when we have a conflict, we deal with it. I run it like the best parts of a corporation. Got to fucking earn. Work to earn. Work to earn so that I can pay those people. Work to earn so that I can see those people eat. Feed them first. The company will make money. The company will go broke if it has to, feeding the business, feeding the family and the corporation. And then I run it the best parts of the mob. Right? I demand loyalty. We're not having a legal conversation. We're going to sit down and we're going to have a sit down. We're going to talk it over. And we're going to figure it the fuck out like adults. You're not going to pull a lawyer in here. You're not going to give me this. I'm going to call the unemployment department. Let's work it the fuck out. Because if we have to work it out that way, then I can't be responsible for what happens in between your ride to the fucking unemployment office. You know what I mean? I'm not. And I'm not saying that in a threatening way, in the sense of like
you're telling it how it is.
Like I'm going to do something. But I had a situation early on in Black Ink's career where I had a designer, graphic designer, and I had another graphic designer come on board. And, we don't have an HR department. We're small, too small to have one. And the young lady came to me and she said, "This guy's fucking harassing me, man. This guy's harassing me." I'm like,
"Oh no.
Go do your job. Relax. Don't worry about this guy." I'm like, "He's got a small dick." And I said, "You'll be fine. Just let it roll off your shoulders." I said, "He's going to get bored of you because you're not responding." I said, "Don't give him any energy. Just go do your job. You do good work." So one day he puts his hands on her ass. "Eric, he fucking smacked my ass." I said, "I got you." I took the guy outside. I said, "You got two choices. You can fucking pack up and leave now, or I'm going to fucking bust your head in with this bat. That's your fucking what you just bought for harassment. You're going to apologize to that fucking girl and you're going to get the fuck out of here." And he thought I was joking. "Oh, man, no, it's just a guy thing." No, motherfucker. That's not how it's going to go down. That's not how it's going to go down. And it's not because I'm a tough guy, because I'm not a tough guy. I don't look for a fight. If I can diplomatically get myself out of a situation, I absolutely will. But when it comes to my family, we're going to go to the back of the building. You remember that scene in Casino where they took the cheat down and they give him the ball peen hammer? That's my answer. Like, if we got to do the ball peen hammer thing, we'll do the ball peen hammer thing. But you fucking did wrong. Here's the thing. You did wrong. There's no legal complications here. You fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So here's your choices. And if it's something you can't fix, you got to go. And I treat that to everybody in that ecosystem. If somebody called me now and said, "Yo, Eric, listen, I got this dude who put a brick through my window," I'm there. Let's go find the dude. And I'm not trying to be a tough guy, but it's that sense of loyalty.
It's not just being a tough guy. It's being almost empathetic in the sense like, I would want this for me. And you're speaking for the way I was raised. I tell people all the time, I was raised around two mafias. Like, I won't lie, I was literally raised around two mafias. I grew up in the area where the Italian mafia was, and I grew up in NYPD, and I don't care what no one says. And people are like, "Oh, the NYPD was," and let me explain something to you. And I'm telling you, I'm writing a book on it, what it was like growing up. NYPD ran like a mafia in
Of
those old
course.
days. Okay, and I'm not gonna discredit them. I'm not saying like all of them are like bad cops. They're right. There's a high percentage of rotten cops, and there's a high percentage of good cops because I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
of course.
that was the
Anywhere
mentality.
though. That's anywhere though.
Someone called me at 2 in the morning and said, "Hey, Chris, this, and this." I'm gonna sit there and listen. But now if I have to show up, I'm showing up. And I have to applaud you because I would love to have a boss like you, that this girl felt comfortable enough, because a lot of women, they feel uncomfortable approaching their male or counterpart bosses because they think sometimes they don't care, or someone's not going to hear them because they're a woman. And I applaud you in hearing her out and handling the situation and nipping it in the bud at the same time, because what if you didn't do that and he took it even further? And I advocate on sexual assault and sexual harassment and sex trafficking, and I've heard some horrific stories.
Yeah.
Some horrific stories that they've gone to their bosses and complained, and the next thing they know, they went to an event and they weren't drinking, and all of a sudden their water was tampered with.
Right.
And this whole situation happens. And so, like, for you to go that extra step, I'm pretty sure that girl loved you for it. She finally
She stayed with us for a while, and then we helped her. We helped her move on because we want to see even the people that work for us. We want them to leave us to better things. We want them to leave us to better things, But again, on the flip side of that, the way I operate is also from the Vince McMahon. Remember the WWE Vince McMahon?
Have you seen the Netflix documentary?
Yeah. So he always said, if it's best for the business, that was his attitude. So I'll give you a good example is like, I had a falling out with somebody. We had some legal complications. I didn't want to get legal, but she went to a lawyer. All right, you want to go that route? Fine. We went that route. We did everything we had to do. We put her under a gag order. She couldn't talk shit about us, couldn't say boo about us. We paid her a little bit of money and we went on our way. Some time went by and I said, this chick knows her shit. She's really good. She's really fucking good at what she does. And I think she's a value add to the business. So I'm going to go break bread with her. And I did, and now her and I are always going out to lunch together. No hard feelings. Business was business. She reaches out to me every now and then, say, "Hey, how you doing? You want to go to lunch?" We're constantly trading ideas, and I have more. I probably have more respect for her now because she said, "Yeah, it's water under the bridge. Business was business." But I didn't let that bad situation between us dictate what was good or bad for my business. She filled a need for the business, so I said, "Come back." And now, more than anything, because of that, I think we're tighter and we're closer.
A business relationship is a business relationship. Like I have young attorneys, I have law students, or like my young legal students, and they're like, "Oh, how can you do this?" I was like, "Let me explain something to you. Business is business. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, when I get my license to practice, I'm not gonna say I like every freaking lawyer. I know there's fucking lawyers out there that are complete fucking assholes, but I'm gonna keep it professional, my fucking job, and keep it fucking moving."
Yeah.
At the end of the day, how many times do I have to network with people, and I may like have some type of thing against them, and it's just like, guess what? I put on my space and I do my thing. Whatever happened, whether it's the past, current, whatever, I'm here to represent my business, my brand. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to fucking get all in my feelings and act like a fucking child or a bitch and be in fucking feelings and act up or be petty or act stupid or like be unprofessional. But in the sense of this concept of the business world and owning a business. There's a lot of business owners, especially now with the younger generation, because you're seeing a lot of social media influencers opening their own businesses.
Sure.
And
Expanding.
they're tumbling because of another influencer has beef with them, or yeah, beef, or like whatever's
Petty
happening
bullshit.
back and forth, like some stupid ass.
Soap opera
I
nonsense.
understand shit. Sometimes it's a fucking novela for me, and I'm just like, bro,
Yeah, right. It is. It's literally a fucking novella.
I'm like, this is too
Novella.
much. Like,
tell me about your business, Chris.
who?
Tell
So
me about your business. Yeah.
So my brand is my business, Chris Valkyrie LLC. Is just me and my brand. So I do pageant coaching. So when I do that, sometimes I get paid for it. I got paid taxes on it. It is a business. So I did do that. So I have pageant coaching. I'm writing my book. I'm working on a comic. So all that will go under my business. And then obviously with the cosplay and then the DJing, that all goes under my business because
Sure.
I have to separate it. I do have a 9 to 5 and I need to separate my other payments. I do travel for businesses. When I go somewhere, I put it under the business because it's a write off. Smart
Right.
thing to do. And then you actually get great offers when you're traveling for business. So I see that in the sense. And then working in the pageant field, I have expectations of soon becoming a pageant director for a pageant that I'm with. So, that's going to have to go under a business. So I am a mom of all trades. I'm a mom at the day. I'm a mom first. I tell people all the time, I'm a mom first. I'm a Doberman mom because I don't call her my pet. She's my baby. I'm a wife. I'm a senior litigation paralegal at my firm. I'm a law student. I delayed my degree because life happened.
Sure.
But then I was a DJ. I got into this field because my nerdism helped me heal. My creativity is what healed me. And then I started seeing how the communities, because I've always been this person that never understood why people put people or sort people over the stereotypes that are placed on them. And I would always question it. Survivors have a stereotype placed on them.
Sure.
Puerto Ricans have a stereotype. Irish, you've seen it
You
all.
name it, you've seen it. Yeah.
And I've never understood it. So I'm like, I've always tried to break that and set a new norm because I knew what it was like growing up in a melting pot like you. And we all got along. We all, I'm like, bro, I don't understand conflict sometimes. I can't comprehend it. It does not make sense to me because I've seen so many people just perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Like nothing. And I'm like, so when conflict happens, like, I'm like, I get confused. Like I get confused.
Sure.
I'll laugh. I'll get uncomfortable. I'm not gonna say I'm not the perfect person. Like,
No, who is? Come on,
bro.
who's the perfect person?
Like, as long as you don't cross a line of disrespect, you won't see my disrespectful side. Like I tell people,
just
best friend or your worst enemy.
Just make mistakes with style. That's all you got to do.
Exactly. But I'm not a gatekeeper. I love connecting people, whether it's in this field, whether it's in the legal field, whether it's anything, and then I'm a big charity person. Yes, I love my money. I make money. I have expensive habits. I have to support my expensive habits. That's what the 9 to 5 is for. But I feel like I get more giving back to the community than I do in a paycheck. Like it's this high you get off of just helping people.
Sure.
So like I've literally shifted, and that's why I like connecting people here and there. Like earlier today, I was at the writer that I'm working with for my comic, but Bayani, his comic's actually right behind me. He's the creator of the first Filipino superhero. Um, he had an event today. I went there and I hit up people, and then another person that I knew, I was like, "Hey, show up if you're right." He's like, "Oh, I live not too far from there," and like, "Hey, this is so and so," and like connect them. I love
Mm.
that, and
No, I love
that's
that too. And I think that's
I feel like
admirable.
that's what you can do. Like I could be at networking events and like perfect example, a judge will come up to me. Hey, I need a new law clerk. I was just talking to a law student or a newly admitted attorney. I'm looking for a job. Hey, hold on, come here, and
Yeah,
put
yeah, yeah.
because that's what we need. I've had young attorneys come to me. It's like, I'm looking for a job. I'm looking in this field. Okay, I don't work in that field, but I know somebody. Send me your resume. Hey, I have this law student. Here's their resume. And it's not even just in the law field. I have friends that will be like, hey, do you know somebody in this field? I'm like, okay, I know somebody. I do it. And I have that same mentality with my clients. I can help you so much, but if I don't have an answer, I'm gonna fucking find one because I want to help you.
Sure. Yeah. I get that. That's the way we do it with the business stuff. People, we don't have an answer. We dig for the resources, try to find them and connect them. No, so I mean, it sounds to me like what don't you do, Chris?
Sleep. I don't sleep. I survive off of chaos, coffee, and wine.
There you go. There you go.
I tell people I live by my mentors, my first mentors, saying what he told me. If you don't love what you do, and I said it to you because you asked me this question in
Mhm.
the channel, and I was just like, bro, I was like, I love these questions. Um, if you don't do what you love, you're just gonna collect regret, and I don't want to collect regret in my life. I know
Right.
what it is because there was a point that I did work in a field that I was like, "I can't do this. This is fucking miserable." Or I worked for a firm that was just like it was just horrible, and it sucks. And then, like, I know what also it is to be out there and not know anybody and have resources that I had
Yeah.
to find myself, and, like, people are like, "Oh, but you got into this field because your dad got you your internship." Okay, yeah, that was my dad's parents' job to open the doors for me, but
Sure.
I had to take that opportunity that my parents gave me and pave the rest of the way.
Yeah.
My parents didn't get me my first job. Yeah, the attorney knew my dad and he said, "Hey, here, I'm gonna give you a shot." But when he saw my work mentality and saw how I was, he's like, "Wait, hold up." Then the second job that came after them. All those things
You
happened
earned
because
it.
my parents opened the opportunity for me. I took what they gave me and taught me, and I made something of myself with it. When I was DJing, I didn't tell the world who my cousin was because I knew if I did, "Oh, that's so and so's cousin. Here, just give her." No, I
Yeah, you
had
don't
to.
want that nepo shit. You want to earn.
So it's like, yeah, it's great to have something easy. Yes, it's good, but there's also no gratitude or no appreciation, or you don't really feel the success unless you actually put the work into it.
It's true.
Like this new generation with this whole AI thing. I'm not going to say like AI is a bad thing. AI has its convenience.
It's place. Yeah.
But at the same time, it takes away the putting the 3 or 4 hours that that artist does, and, you know, to me, I feel like any artist, I do draw, I do paint. When we do a piece or any artist like yourself, like Son of the Saint, like Sebastian, my other friends, when they do their artwork, that's a piece of their soul, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
another one, a good friend of mine, Jacques Tortuga. You know, people are like, "Oh, you buy all this artwork." I buy all those artwork because it's amazing. Just like my tattoos on my body, those are artists' artwork that's been put on my body. Like, my body has become my museum, you
Yes.
know? And I tell they'll be like, "Oh, what do you want?" I was like, "This is what I want, but put your spin on it." Because that's you also telling your story on my body with mixed with
Yes.
mine, and that builds a memory. And I don't think people are seeing in that perspective anymore. So hearing from a person like you, this is also why I wanted you on the show because not all the things you do. You're a freaking Mad Hatter in a sense for me that I kind of like now look up to because I'm like, bro, he thinks just like me. It's hard to find
Thank
that.
you.
And then when you were like, I have the mafia mentality, I was like, bro, because I grew
Yeah.
up around that. That's normal
It's
for
you know the generations, this last generation, and even some of the millennials, the crossovers, have missed out on a lot. They
they
missed out on
have.
a lot because of the sanitization of things, people deciding what's safe for them, you know, because the way the internet has the propaganda machine and the marketing machine has taken over the internet and taken over content basically. Um, they've missed a lot. I applaud the generation, this in the Gen Zers who are exploring abandoned buildings, who are falling down and breaking their pinky and not going to the fucking hospital because their dad said it or their cousin said it for them. I applaud you guys because you guys are the rough and tumbles that a lot of your cohorts have missed out on, especially being sheltered. And there's a lot that goes on in the community. I think even in a lot of the cultural generations too, they're beginning to doing that sheltering thing too. I see it in one of my friends, one of my son's friends, Hispanic family. Parents were very sheltering, very sheltering. Wasn't it was very weird to see them. I guess I'll say it was very weird to see them take that white motif of we got to protect our baby. Um, I just found it odd because I always found the cultural communities to be more open into not letting their kids get away with murder and you know teaching their children consequences because that's a generation over generation. So I applaud the generation that is the portion of the generation that is out there, and you don't need to be a cop, a mafia guy, or a criminal, or any of that. What you need to do is explore the world, and not through the fucking cell phone, and not through the screen. You need to go out there and explore the world. You need to go get lost in it a little bit. You need to go out there and go to a fucked up part of town. You know what I mean? And take your fucking chances that you're gonna get punched in the face. Might happen. You might get robbed, but guess what? Experience it because you could come out on the other side a little bit different of it. Um, there's just a lot out there that I think has been so sanitized, and I think parents right now in part are to blame with their helicopter parenting and whatever the fuck they call it. Little Johnny can't walk. Little Johnny can't walk fucking a quarter mile to the bus stop. Mommy got to drive him. Fucking little Johnny, walk, you little bastard. Fucking crotch goblin. You know what I mean? And you know, to any generation that's raising kids now, let your kid fall down. Let your kid fucking fall down, and when they scrape their knee, spit on it and wipe it off, and tell the kid to go back and fucking play. Because that's what we need. Literally, my
listen,
generation was the walk it off generation. We
my
literally were the
kids
walk
are
it off
walking
generation.
off. My
Walk it
kids,
off.
like so I understand what it is to like protect your children. I will burn this world down for my children. Like I will burn the world down for my dog.
Mhm.
Okay. Sword John Wick. I will be that's like my kids, that's their sister, and to my dog, that's their
There's a difference
brother.
in protecting your child from the evils versus
There's
letting
a
your
difference
child
between
explore.
that, but there's nothing wrong. Like I was sheltered to a certain extent, but then my parents also let me see what happens if you do this. This is what happens.
I did that with
And you
my
know,
kids too.
it was that, and then growing up in a precinct, you kind of saw everything. You
I did
know.
I did that with my boys. I mean, I did what I could to protect my boys, but within a limitation.
Yeah, you
Right.
just put limits on it. I when my son started getting older, like I was very transparent, but I did it for his age. Okay, like okay, we're Hispanic. I'm going to tell you the true story of Christopher Columbus. This is what happened. This is what he is. This is not the story. We're not giving you this whitewash version, whatever you want to call it. He did not come on. They did not make me happy. The same thing with the Pilgrims. Pilgrims did not come and have dinner, so on and so forth. He's been to Plymouth. He's been to certain locations. Now he's a history buff. He's starting to study and so on and so forth. But then the thing is, they fall. I was like, you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital? If not, walk it off.
Walk
Keep
it
it
off.
moving. I
My
have a daughter. Same thing with her. She falls, get up, walk it off. Unless you're like severely bleeding or a bone is sticking
major
out,
injury, yeah.
I,
Walk
I
it off.
don't want to know. Keep it moving.
My oldest son, got into when he was younger. He got into a fight, and he came home, and his nose was busted. It's crooked. And what happened? I got into a fight. So what do you want to do? He said, I think my nose is broken. I said, yeah, it looks broken. I said, we got two choices. Go to the hospital, or I could pop your nose back in place. What do you want to do?
You're gonna pop it in place anyway at the
And he was like,
hospital.
yeah. He's like, pop it in place. I popped it in place, and he walked it off. That was it.
It happens. Like there's nothing wrong, and I think this is the other reason why I do this show. There is nothing wrong with being transparent with your children to their age. I also grew up culturally wise, talking to a therapist was not okay. Then growing up in a law enforcement family, that definitely wasn't okay. So like I had like two clashes. I went through what I went through and I knew I needed help. So I had to break that barrier and shift. You
Yeah.
know, it's hard, but I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old soul. Who knows?
Who
I
knows?
don't
I mean, look,
know anymore.
you
You
know,
know,
you're a woman empowered, and survivorship comes with scars, but it also comes with lessons.
I take
And
every day and everything I go through as
yeah, so
since I was younger, I was like that. Like I read a lot of Socrates, and the one quote I always live by, I know I don't know everything because I question it.
right.
And that's how I've been
That's a
going
good
through my
quote.
life since I was 7 years
But
old.
the thing is you come out of it without the victim mentality, and that's important. And that did come from your family. That came from being raised by people who were not victims and were not going to be victimized, whether that was culturally or through police or a combination of both, or maybe the neighborhood. But that's the thing, is that we can't. You always have to get up and walk it off, one way or another. And if that means you got to eventually get therapy, you get therapy. Listen, I grew up the same way. No therapy, no therapy. That's the worst thing in the world. When I was going through my divorce, I was forced into therapy by the judge for an evaluation. And I found out, I'm like, I like this shit. I like this shit. So I continued on. And, I was able to face a few demons down. Now they're like my pets.
Yeah, you just leave them as pets and let people poke the cage.
Yep, exactly. And there was a time too. I was a very angry person. My first response was violence. And not necessarily violence in the sense of the fist violence, but that raging anger, that yelling, that screaming,
Yeah,
that
lashing out.
Right. So that was, and I mean, I was married for about 10 years, and then divorce lasted like 3. And so I was probably, I guess it was like 35 or 36 when I got divorced. And, it was there where I started to, through the therapy, I started to reevaluate things like Sun Tzu and The Prince, Machiavelli's The Prince, and started to read them in a different light and started to realize, okay, this is the way I can maneuver here without the anger, without the emotion, without the this, without the that. And that was really a turning point for me as far as professionally was concerned. Changed everything for me. I took a reset. I taught college for a little while. And then I came back and I started Black Ink. And it was a very, I came in with that mindset of what I wanted, what the benchmarks were, the pillars for the business were. And, anybody, who's out there is who listens to this, is the point is you can never lay back into the shit you came out of and live there. You have to go forward, whether you're doing it with therapy or whether you're doing it with yourself somehow through books or meditation or whatever. You can never be the victim, and you always have to find the opportunity in the adversity, whatever that might be. However you have to do it, because there's enough already out there in this world through the propaganda machine, through the marketing machine, to maintain your victimhood. You don't need, it's already working on you to always be a victim. It takes the simplest things in life that you don't need and tells you that you need them in order to live. You need keratin conditioner, or you need, or your hair is going to be a shit, right? You need this. And listen, I think being in the advertising game, I'm a lot more cognizant of it all. But yeah, there's certain things I'm a brand hound about because they give me results for sure. I'll always be an Apple user. You know what I mean? Because it gives me the results. But anybody who's listening is you have to understand that all the bad shit that happens to you happens so you can grow, evolve, learn, and find the opportunity in that bullshit. Somebody says, "Oh, Eric, what would you do? What would you find opportunity if your apartment building burnt down?" Hey, damn, Skippy, I'd find opportunity in that. First of all, I have fucking renter's insurance, so I've gotten the opportunity to get all new fucking equipment. Okay. And then all the pictures and everything that I lost, the hard pictures, the art, whatever I could remake, it gives me a reason to remake art, come back to it, go back to it. And now this time, instead of keeping it privatized, I would turn around and make it very public. I would make my art public now. I find that loss. I try to find that opportunity in those losses. And that's how you really have to go through life, everything. Again, shifting popped is a good example of a pivot. People would say, "Oh my God, you canceled the event in March. That's bad optics." Yeah, but you don't know the whole story. Now I might have a 2-day event. I might have more guests. I might have more opportunities and experiences, more cars, more to go. I might have more entertainment. These are all the things I'm looking for. So taking that adverse moment and spinning it into something positive. Does it disrupt a few people? Is it inconvenient for a few people? Sure. But you know what? Some people are going to be inconvenienced and some people are going to fucking benefit. And that's just how it all works. So, I think people like you, Chris, and the people that are in the circles who think like you want to talk about giving back to the community. It's you give back by continuing to move forward in what you're doing and be the example and share the adversity and how you came out of that adversity. You know what I mean? So if you have a moment where, let's say for shits and giggles, you're doing a big cosplay event and suddenly you're fucking, something happens where the foam melts on your cosplay outfit or some shit like that, right? Tell that story. Tell everybody how you figured the fuck out on the fly. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, "Oh my God, all the work I put into this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I think.
I agree totally. It happens a lot. It even happens in the pageant world. I've had dresses torn. Yeah. I've been sewed into a fucking dress. Went on stage, did what I have to do.
Yeah.
and have
So
to
I
get
mean,
cut out.
but I think what we need to do more of as advocates, as entrepreneurs and business owners, is to tell our story more. Um, because entrepreneurs and business owners who make it, because you understand that 92% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Absolutely.
Statistical fact.
Hmm.
Um, that's massive. The ones that make it past 5 years usually don't make it 10 to 10. A
No,
lot
they
of
don't.
times, very small percentage. And a lot of times it's because they don't know how to do it. Some of them remain in victimhood status. Some of them don't ask for help. Some of them don't know how to manage or get the resources. Some of them fail to do it right, make too many mistakes for those resources to be able to grow. But if we're telling our story about how we did XYZ in our growth and sharing that with other small business owners and saying to them, you can do this, I think we could change a lot of those percentages over time just by telling our stories.
And I agree with you. That's why, like, I don't mind taking a few minutes to have the conversation. Like, I've heard people tell me, "You're intimidating." I'm
I love
sorry, I
that
have
one.
a face. I That's just me. That's just my demeanor. But then when you really get to know me or you hear me speaking, I'm like the sweetest, most lovable person. Like, you have to really push me or be in a disrespectful or do something disrespectful in front of me to push me to
Be a
that
bitch.
rage point.
Yeah,
Like, you literally unleashed the demon. You fuck with the
sure.
cage too much, and they just came out. But I wanna go back because I think you brought up that, like, when you went through your divorce, you went through this hard time. I've also noticed there's a lot of late bloomers, or there's people that, like, are had a career and they weren't happy and they left that career and decide to do something later on in life. Like, what advice would you have for someone that, like, either went through a divorce and they have to start new again, or they were in a career that they weren't happy in and they decided to jump ship and either open a business, do something else, or do something creative, or embrace their creativity? Like, how would they go about it? Because
Well,
you went through it yourself. I think my 30s were far better than my 20s
sure.
because I had a whole new point on life, and I've gotten past that trauma that I went through, and I was able to embrace my darkness, embrace all my broken pieces, and put them together and make my own masterpiece that I've created. You know, what advice would you have, especially for men? Because unfortunately, we also live in a society that downplay a lot of men in
Well,
some
yeah.
sense. Like, they
Men,
can't
men are
start
men are
over
expected to be the Rock of
romance.
Gibraltar. Men are expected to be the Rock of Gibraltar. Men are expected to always be the people carrying the weight. They're not supposed to be weak. So, a lot of times they do suffer in silence. They do, they don't talk about their feelings. Um, my advice for men in that spot is this: is if you have a significant other, somebody close to you, share your feelings with them. And if they poo-poo you, kick them out the fucking door. Okay. Because your significant other should be the
Your best friend, your
your
confidant.
best friend. They should be there. They should be the cement to your rock. Um, you know, and I don't say that to, disrespect spouses and significant others, but if your significant other is not there for you emotionally in your emotional time and need, you know, um, if the bottom falls out, where the fuck they gonna be? Got to question that. Don't get married until you know that answer. Anyway, outside of that advice, most people who jump ship from a new job, most people who have to start from scratch, displaced spouses, abuse cases, run, separation from the abuse environment. Most of the time, they're all in survival mode off the bat. That is going to be the number one downfall and failure of any business you start, is if you're going in trying to survive on a new business venture, you're already going in the rears because you're in survival mode. Survival mode is not, it's not wealth mode. It's not, and wealth doesn't mean money. Wealth means building your empire. Um, Survival mode is just keeping things afloat. It's like grabbing foam on the ocean and just keep trying to build a raft. And as a piece falls away, you grab another piece, another floaty thing. That's survival mode. Going into any business, whether you're leaving a job or starting over, and you're in survival mode, that mindset is going to keep you in this space where you're not going to elevate that business. Okay. You have to walk into a business in success mode, right? So I'll give you an example of, I'll read it to you. So you literally have to have a Reaper mindset. Okay.
You and your Reaper.
And a Reaper. So you have to be goal driven. That's number one. You have to be mission focused. That's number two. You have to be solution oriented, decisive, unwavering, and loyal to the team. That is a Reaper mindset. Okay. When you have those bases, and remember, use your own team when you're solo. You know what I mean? So you're loyal to yourself. You don't succumb to failure. So no curling up on the bathroom floor crying. You do not be swayed by words, what people say. You don't take anything at face value because 99% of the time it's bullshit. You do not allow yourself to be defined by others. You do not quit under pressure. And you do not lose sight of the goal you set. So, I mean, think about it. The reason I call that a Reaper mindset is because the Reaper has one job: to collect your fucking soul and ferry you to heaven or hell or purgatory. One job, nothing stopping them.
Nope.
One mission, one job. They're coming. You're dead. You can't be like, yo, can we make a deal? Nope, bitch, we ain't making a deal.
You don't make deals.
That's it. So, you know, not going into anything in survival mode is very, very, very crucial. That's my first piece of advice, and take that mindset. The second piece of advice in that is use AI to your advantage now. Learn how to prompt properly so that you can do the research on the business you want to develop, right? I love AI for research. It's really because it has taken me from doing 2 weeks worth of research to down to 2 days. Okay. But what you have to do is you have to prompt AI properly to get those deep dive data, to pull that data, to make it rework itself, to make it question its choices. You have to do that so you can collect this data so you know going in, again, you will save months worth of research, business development research. You can have a whole research of whatever it is you're doing, excuse me, competitor set, audience set, geographic targets, all that stuff in a week. And you can sit down and go, okay, now my purple widget fits here. I know how much it's going to cost to make these purple widgets if I make them in America, if I make them in Taiwan, if I make them in Brazil. You're going to know because you're going to have pulled all that data and let AI do all that Google searching for you and all that deep dive research for you. Use AI like the tool it's meant to be. Don't rely on it. Double check your stats, of course. But anyway, that's getting just drilling down a little bit. But build that business plan quickly. You can even prompt AI to give you the template for a business plan, right? Build that plan, and within, as long as you're not in the survival mindset, and as long as you have that business plan, which is now your living Bible, for lack of a better term, for the business, because it could change a little bit as you progress, you now have a start to building whatever it is you're doing. If you have the money in the bank, keep the money in the bank. Get a fucking job and keep the money in the bank while you're doing your side hustle. Get a shit job. Be like the waitress in Hollywood trying to become a movie star. Whatever it's going to take, especially with no taxes on tips now. Go do what you got to do. Take that job, bankroll that money, pay your bills while you're building your business. Just don't get married to that job, right? Don't get caught into that, oh, I got to be loyal to my new employer. No, you fucking don't. They might be the greatest people in the world to you, But when it's time to move on because your business is about to level up and you need to be at this market, or you need to be in this shop or this pop-up or whatever it is you're doing, or you need to meet with these clients, fuck that job, right? Just make sure that what you're charging is more than what you'd make for that day of lost work. But that's really the main advice and the main foundation for people starting from scratch or starting over, especially the starting over crowd, because you're already going in survival mode. Got to get out of that survival mode headset, because if you're not, you stay in survival mode. You could be in survival mode with a business for a fucking decade before you realize, holy shit, I'm in fucking survival mode this whole time. That's my advice.
So also I have a question. You're like, this is like a master class. You have to teach TED Talks. I don't know. You're gonna have to, I don't know, maybe you even do this on your podcast. I haven't seen all your shows yet. But how do you feel about them investing into other things? Like, would you advise that a small business, if they're capable of investing and partnering up with other people
Sure.
to double it? Is that something that
Well, you have to go in. So I have a capital markets background because prior to my divorce, I was in I had a capital markets business, commercial financing and stuff like that. So the thing is, with investing in a business, it's high risk, but you have to know the benefits and how much you're putting in. So, for example, in New Jersey, if there's a small business, let's say it's established, but it wants to grow, right? Maybe let's say it's a bakery. I use the bakery one all the time because I love bread.
doesn't,
right?
Especially Italian
Let's
bread.
say it's a bakery and they want to expand their footprint, and they want to start delivering to restaurants, 25 miles outside of their area, and they need a truck, and they need a delivery driver, and they need another baker, and it's going to cost them X to get that started. You have to look at that and say, okay, I'll invest in this business. How much money is this going to return you? You have to find out what the investment, when that is going to pay that investment off, how long it's going to take them. So you have to look at their books. You have to look at their projections and say, okay, does this make sense? And how long do you want to keep my money for? Am I getting it paid back over a period of time with interest? Or are you keeping my money indefinitely and I have shares in your business, which are going to pay me a dividend every year or every month? You have to look at that. And then depending on how much it is, you have to now go and look at what tax credits benefits you have for investing in a small local business. Because for example, in New Jersey, there's an angel investor tax credit. Okay. And I don't know if all states have them, but there's different programs in each state. But the angel investor tax credit can pay you up to 40% tax deduction of your investment. So if you invest, for $50,000, you could get 40% of that back. I don't know off the top of my head what that is, but almost $20,000. So if you did 50,000, you could get $20,000 in tax benefits back for investing in that small business. So now what happens is your $50,000 investment into that bakery, because of the tax credit, is technically a $30,000 investment. So you have to understand there's nuances you have to look into as a person who wants to make an investment in a small business, established business, or up and coming business. But even in up and coming business, you have to look at their projections. So when you watch something like Shark Tank, these guys coming in and doing the pitches, most of the multimillionaire investors already have a spec sheet on this, right? So they already know what this potential rate of return is going to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they have numbers in front of them already. They're not just shooting from the hip going, yeah, I'll invest $2 million for 47% of your company. They already kind of know. That pitch portion, in part, it's a setup for entertainment value, but it's also important that the person with the product has to be able to pitch the product. So that's also a test. But they have the spec sheet in front of them. So they already know what the rate of return, potential return is going to be. They already know what their risk thresholds are. You know what I mean? And then depending on where that business is located, they already know in advance if there's angel investor tax credits. Okay. So
I just learned something.
Yeah. So investing in a business is a good idea. I would say you don't invest in a high risk non need. Stay away from wants. Somebody wants to make a new purse, take on fucking Coco Chanel, stay away from it. Somebody wants to make a new skin cream, stay away from it. But if somebody wants to buy a pizzeria that's established for 25 years, or wants to take over a deli, or is maybe they are hand making jewelry and they've been doing it for 5 years, and now they want to go outside of New York and New Jersey. They want to go to Tennessee and they want to expand their markets. That might be a good investment in the want category because they're already established little mom and pop person. But try to stay in the need space for your first investments. Those are always something, and needs be like if somebody says, I got a fucking vein of gold in Arizona that I want to dig up. Gold is an investment. It's worth fucking spending the money on that guy's mine if they're a good miner, if they know what they're doing. So it's just you got to really be smart with it and pick and choose where you're going to put your money and how long can you put that money at risk. Yeah. And what I would say is you leverage that money instead. I would argue if you had $100,000 cash in the bank, go take a $50,000 loan against it at a low interest rate because it's secured. So you could negotiate your interest rate to be very low. Let's, for argument's sake, say it's 6%. You took $50,000 at 6% against your 100,000. So you're collateralizing. So you can't touch your 100,000 or your 50 of your 100. You can't touch because it's sitting as collateral. But now that's the bank's money you're playing with. You're not touching your liquidity. You go make that investment. You're paying 6%. Well, you want that 6% paid, so you need another 6% in earnings minimum, right? So you're going to charge the guy 12% on your money. You're going to take that, 40% tax credit against your investment. You're going to go pay off the bank with that 40% tax credit. So now your loan is down, whatever it was, to $30,000. And again, I'm not a financial advisor of any type. You know what I mean? And I'm not a tax. You got to talk to all these people. You got to talk to the experts. You got to talk to the bankers. You got to talk to the tax people. You got to talk to the state, grant program people. You got to talk to all these professionals and do your research. But that's sort of a suggestion I would say if you have the capacity. But if you're 20,000 liquid and that's all you got and you're about to invest in Bob's Pizza, I'd be really careful.
That is really good to know. And I have a question. So when you're doing your expos that are not the cons, like these business expos, are not just being a networking, are you a part of these lectures? Because you know your shit.
No, no, because I listen to the people that I bring, right? I listen to the people that I bring. I work with the experts that I bring. The only lectures I ever do at my events are about branding and about marketing. That's the only lectures I do.
So being that you focus on branding and marketing, and being a business owner and working with a lot of businesses, is there a way that a person can go about of not over pitching themselves? Because I've noticed also with the younger generation, and certain people, they will over pitch something and not be able to produce it.
Yeah. And so
how do you go about like explaining branding and pitching and the whole marketing aspect of that?
So what you always do, it's super, super simple. What you always do is you undersell and you overperform, right? Mm-hmm. Undersell. So, for example, if I'm going to have at Procurement Con, I only have 500 tickets, okay? I only have 500 tickets. That's how I'm pitching it because it's very exclusive, vetted businesses. We only want this type of business here. It's not for everybody. So it's very limited seating. So technically in the con circuit or the convention circuit, 500 is a good number, but it's an underperforming, it's not going to, it might not attract Lockheed Martin to come to my event. They want to see 3,000 people in a room. But at the end of the day, what I do is I sell my 500 tickets and then I magically get 100 tickets more because I was able to make some space. Right?
Ah.
So then optically, from the visual elements, I go in there and I take the right angle photographs and I take the right angle video. And now I can go to Lockheed Martin. We said we filled the room with these vetted, completely vetted, 100% vetted people. It was originally 500. We were able to squeak another 100 out of it. All these people are highly, highly qualified to be subcontractors for you on your DoD contracts or your NSA contracts. We want you at our next event. I'm still underselling it because they want 3,000 people, but I'm showing them a higher class and value of people, right? So I'm still underselling. Now they come to my event next year, so maybe I'll open the floor to 800 people. And then they'll be like, well, we wanted 3,000. I'll be like, yeah, but you got 900 people because I found another 100 tickets. Okay? And they are more highly qualified than 3,000 random fucking strangers. So I've overperformed. And that's what you have to do is and I'm not doing anything to bamboozle people, but what I'm doing is I'm setting my benchmarks where I'm comfortable. And then when I know I can do better, I'll open that door to a little bit more. So a small business person, a young person who's pitching their great fucking idea, number one, is it a great fucking idea? Oh, I have this purple fucking soap that, takes away fucking liver spots. Okay. Simple. Show us. You don't have to oversell anymore. You have purple soap that takes away liver spots. Let's see it in action. Boom, boom, boom. We're done. There's no other product like that out on the market. You don't have to sell anymore. Keep it fucking simple. Undersell it. Yeah, this purple soap, it took us, nobody gives a fuck how long it took you to come up with the fucking formula. As a matter of fact, you should be saying the formula is so fucking top secret that we can't give samples out.
So just literally keep it fucking simple.
Or keep it fucking simple.
Simple, stupid.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid. I mean, you don't need to oversell shit. People who oversell immediately tells the person watching you have a lack of confidence in what you're doing and what your product is. Right? I harken back to movie trailers. Good movie trailers that are confident in their movies never show the fucking monster. Movie trailers that are not confident they're going to put asses in seat give you the monster.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The minute I see a movie trailer and I suddenly get the monster, I'm like, they're not confident in their film.
Yeah.
So a good example is if you watch the trailer, if you're a horror fan, if you've ever watched the trailer to Longlegs.
I remember that. I had to write a paper on it.
Never revealed Nicolas Cage, ever, in the trailers. Fucking intense. Barbarian never revealed the monster at the end of Barbarian. Sorry, spoilers, everybody. Those are confident people who are confident in a movie. A movie that has to show the monster, like this new one, it's called Psycho, where the fucking psycho killer isn't like every other frame of the fucking thing. Not confident in what they're saying.
I probably
have it. Non-confidence. It's a non-confidence. So think of it like that. You are a movie as a small business, and you have to be confident because the minute you oversell, people sniff that shit out, and they're like, it's not confident in the product. You should be making them ask questions because if they're asking questions, they're interested.
No, and I agree with you totally. And I think the analogy of using the movie trailers, because honestly, I now lately certain movie trailers are like giving everything up. And it's like, you want me to go to the movie. You practically showed me half of the movie. So what do I want to see now?
Yeah.
Like a movie trailer is supposed to hype a person up and be like, I gotta go to the movies on this day to watch this movie. And
so, who's a master at the hype in movie trailers? And this is a good example to follow. Think of your product like a 2.5-hour movie. Every Marvel movie that you've ever seen a trailer for has only been the first 15 minutes of the movie is where all the scenes are cut from. In a 2.5-hour fucking movie, they only give you scenes chopped up from the first 15 minutes. That's how you sell. That's how you get.
Who also, Marvel's not just the only one. I think even Tim Burton, when he does his movie trailers, it's captivating. Guillermo del Toro is the same way too.
Yep.
Like he is a mastermind.
But that's really how, if you really want to get a simple analogy on how to pitch, keep it
Think of it
simple.
as a movie to really
Think of
keep
it
it.
like a movie. Yeah. Keep it simple. Only give people the first 15 minutes of chopped up scenes and information. Make them ask questions.
Okay, you heard that here, people. Honestly, you guys have to like take this whole lesson, take notes, go old school, take all these notes because this man he's giving the secrets. Talking about movies, Bughouse.
Bughouse. Yeah, so Bughouse. So we got our producer Steve Barton from Terrifier 2. Uncle Creepy. He's also the
He's actually
founder
going
of
to be on
Dread.
the show next week.
Fantastic. He
Brooklyn boy too. He's my neighbor. Like
nice.
My first degree is in broadcasting and production and editing. And we actually had a class on creators from Brooklyn.
Wow.
Like, because we're proud Brooklynites. We gotta give it. And then like I was like, oh shit, he's from Sheepshead Bay. And then I gotta meet him. Like, I love his work. I hate his character because he's a clown.
Yeah. So Bughouse, we got Tina Kraus. If you don't know who Tina Kraus is, she's a scream queen from all the way back in the schlock days of Wave Productions. She's an original Wave girl. She's been in over, appearances, full features, cast over 100, I think 65 films. She's worked with people like I'm gonna go blank. The only one coming to mind right now is Eric Roberts. But she's worked with some great indie directors. I should know these people. Bruce Longo and Victor Bonacore. Just a couple of really big indie guys. She's got a background as well as in Film Union, so she's been involved in everything from behind the scenes to in front of the camera. So she's pretty much, your all heart. Like she's not trying to be Hollywood. She would love to have a Hollywood level movie, but she's just being an actress in the game for the love of the game.
That's what she does.
Yeah,
because you see it in her performance.
Yeah, so she's the writer of Bughouse. So what I can reveal is this: Bughouse is a bigger franchise than one movie. There's already the sequel is already written. Okay. The prequel is being written. Bughouse is going to be a found footage film. But we're taking very, 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 very direct care in producing a film that makes sense in the realm of actual physics when it comes to found footage. We are in talks. We haven't confirmed it up yet, but we're in talks with Tony Moran, the original Michael Myers, to take the role of the Butcher. We have already spoken and with Ginger Lynn Allen to pick up the role of the crazy lady in both Bughouse and the sequel. We will be casting. We're finishing the final drafts and tweaks to the script have just been done, and we will be going with that to get ready to start casting for that. We already have 3 of our cast members. We'll be selecting our lead in that. We will be shooting here in New Jersey. Nice. It'll be here in New Jersey.
Like specific locations you're targeting?
Not yet. I can't really talk much more about that, but we will be here in New Jersey. It'll be shot here in New Jersey. I'm executive producer on the film. And we'll be Vic Bonacore will probably be our editor for the film. His last film was called Thrust, which was a great neo-punk film in the vein of classic 80s punk films. So really good. We'll be screening that actually at Wicked Garden.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so we have this going, and there's going to be, with that, we have some really cool things we're going to be doing with that, since I'm handling all the marketing behind that and the merchandising with that. So we'll actually have a theatrical release for that, which will be specific for theaters. Then we're going to have a version that is going to be a touring circuit version of the film, which is going to have some slight differences. Obviously, we're going to have the DVD version with director's commentary, which is going to be different. And then one of my goals is to release the soundtrack of the film, but uniquely enough, side A of the soundtrack will be the music from the film, but side B is going to be all the ambient noise from the film.
Wow,
And
that's something different.
And I'll be releasing that on CD, cassette, and vinyl.
You are a genius when it comes to marketing.
We will be doing a VHS version of the film.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my God! Talk about nostalgia.
Yeah, we'll be doing a limited VHS release of the film.
I still got a VHS.
Yeah. So and that's, again, we're excited about that. I don't know if we're going to go to principal photography this year. I'm not rushing it. I want this to be, we're not doing a micro indie budget here. We're going after, probably, I'm targeting at least all in, this is going to be $1.5 million to $2 million project. Wow. Best case, we're going to target. We want to put the right money behind it. We want to make the right deals with the film. Because we're gonna
your first big one? Like,
this will be the first big one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is your baby right now.
Yeah, we're actually going to be going to principal photography on our Jersey Devil documentary, which we just announced. Was it last Friday? Last Friday we just released that announcement.
So you're doing the Jersey Devil documentary?
We're doing the Jersey Devil.
One of my favorite, like, oh my God,
Yeah,
when I learned about the Jersey Devil, oh my God, like, when I was little, I was like, I just thought it was the hockey team, and then I ended up learning the story, and I was like, oh my God, I love this shit. Like,
so that'll actually probably go to principal photography this year in the fall. We've got the team together, so Steve Barton once again will be producing on that. We'll be bringing in Tina to do segment direction. Our team, our lead, myself, and Expedition Bigfoot's Ronnie LeBlanc are executive producers on the film.
Are you serious? That is one of my I've been watching that show literally religiously, even to this. I still rewatch it. He's fucking awesome.
So Ronnie LeBlanc, and he's going to be team lead 1. We got Ken Gerhard, who is a cryptozoologist, who'll be team lead 2. We got Brittany Barbieri from the Lost Monster Files on HBO and Discovery. She'll be on the team. We have Brian Cano, Jay Cano from Haunted Collector and Ghost Hunters.
I never got into Haunted Collector. The Monster Files, Expedition Bigfoot, those I know. The cryptologist.
And then we'll be getting a former CIA remote viewer who we haven't named yet. We have April Bousset coming in as our psychic, and then we will be bringing in Ben Hansen from Fact or Faked.
Wow, that is something, I don't know, I guess it's just the nerd in me. I get excited. I don't know. I've loved mysteries and lores. I don't know. I feel like it's just who we are as a people.
Yeah.
But
you're gonna like this documentary because we're going to be. So we're tapping in technology nobody's using yet.
Okay.
Some military grade technology we'll be tapping into, which I can't really say what it is yet publicly because I don't want people to know.
Don't spoil it.
So we'll be tapping into some technology. We will be using obviously some of the standard technology, the FLIR cameras. We'll be using photogrammetry and radio photogrammetry to take pictures with sound. of the environment. We'll be covering 3 locations in the Pine Barrens. And we'll also be using some traditional methods. We'll be using, obviously, LiDAR to go and see what's in the ground. We'll be using divination, like divining rods. We'll be using psychic mediumship, remote viewing. But we're also going to be deep diving the history of the Pine Barrens. So we might, we're treating it like a true crime mystery as well, like a cold case file, to see how that goes.
Was, from what I remember, was it just livestock attacks, or has there?
No. There was livestock, mostly livestock, pets. I think there was a couple people threats. But because of what we're doing and how deep we're diving into the history of the Barrens and to the Leeds mystery, the New Jersey Devil mystery, we might even end up finding like a missing body, buried there by the mob. That's the level of deep dive we're doing. Yeah.
Who knows?
We're expecting, we know what to expect. And we also, I mean, if I don't say the Jersey Devil is real, I'm going to get excommunicated from New Jersey. So I have to say it's real, but depending on what we find, we might find a homeless guy running around with wings. I mean, we don't know. But this is going to be a big documentary, theatrical release. It's going to be a 2-part film.
Okay.
Again, we're going to be delivering, a circuit version of it for AMAs. We're going to be delivering. So here's some of the cool shit that's going to be going on with this. The entire investigation.
Like, I want to go on this investigation with you guys. That's like, I'm so hyped for this.
We can, right? Because here's what we're doing. The entire investigation has the main teams, but it's going to be running full behind the scenes cameras behind them, the whole investigation. And that is going to be live fed, right? Because part of the film is going to be crowdsourced. Part of the funding is going to be crowdsourced. And we're going to have a live feed. The investigation over the 7 or 14 days is going to be live fed the whole time, nonstop. Obviously not the private, when people are sleeping or going to the bathroom type stuff, but nothing is going to be unseen. So we're going to have the live feed cameras going 24/7 on the investigators and on the investigations in the field. So you're going to see the film camera crew who's filming. You're going to see the social media person who's filming, and you're going to see the investigators, right? You're going to see everything. And then we're going to be wiring up every investigator with chest cams, back cams, and head cams. And those are going to be live fed too, so that the community could investigate while we're doing while we're filming. So before the film is even released, the people who are part of the Kickstarter portion of this are going to have the opportunity to investigate while the investigation is going live. So, and then all the footage is going to become available after we get it all done. We're going to re-release all the footage, all the behind the scenes footage, and allow the world to investigate the videos. And then what we find from there, well, let me finish. What they do after the first movie, the second movie is going to actually be the evidence reveals. So we're going to release that movie. And then as the world has found things that we have investigated, what they saw is going to be included in that movie, and we're going to be giving those those public investigators their props, and possibly interview them for the second half of the film. So it's a big project, and the live streaming is not new. People have done it in these investigations before, so we're not breaking any new ground there. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's a super secret thing. But we're going to make this very interactive for the fans of both true crime and cryptids and paranormal and everything like that.
This is so awesome. Like, I'm so excited. I'm like spooked. And you kind of did answer my question. I was like, would they be a way for the people that are investigating it on their own to contact you and say, hey, this is what I got?
We will have that. Yeah, there'll be a repository and it'll be reviewed. So here's one thing we are doing. We will be casting for this 3 amateur investigators. And there's going to be a shadow team that the only people that, and again, this is obviously public, but I don't think I don't think Ben or anybody's going to be watching this. They're not going to be going, what's going on with Eric? What did he say? So I'll say this quietly. There's going to be a shadow team that nobody knows about investigating, and it's going to be our 3 amateurs. We're not disclosing where they are. We're not telling anybody who they are. We will be casting them. It'll be very hush hush, top secret. So the third team that's going to be out there, they're also not going to know anything that the other 2 teams are doing, any methods the other 2 teams are using, nothing. They're going to be treated as their own team, as their own little thing in their own little bubble. So we now have a third team out there investigating, doing their own version of an investigation, because they're going to be amateur investigators using their methodologies and seeing what results we get from them.
That is so, and honestly, nowadays there's like, when I was a kid, there was very few shows of this, like very few shows. Now, like wherever you look, someone's investigating something.
Yeah. And we're gonna crank out enough footage that on the back half of this, after we release the second film, we'll be releasing the never before seen 12-part series for it as well, with all the footage that the public never saw.
Leading to that, I like, because I New Yorker, grew up in the tri-state, so like I love when, like, we had our Bigfoot scene at one point. I think Expedition Finding Bigfoot did a couple of episodes in upstate New York and stuff like that. And I have a question, because I haven't seen this yet. And this is just my fandom. I've always been obsessed with the Headless Horseman. Have you ever had that notion to take on that task to see if he's really real?
Well, listen, look, first of all, number one, I'm not an investigator. I'm a creative, right? So that's why I'm the producer. I'm not in the field, because, if I had it my way, we'd be searching for fucking gremlins. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, we want Gizmo. I pet Gizmo.
So, I mean, we do have a plan, though, after this. This is the benchmark model for future investigations. So we're already talking about a Bigfoot investigation in Massachusetts as the second film follow-up to this, and trying to maintain the usage of the same team, and the same technologies and new technologies. So there are already plans for other things. So now investigating things like Legends of like the Headless Horseman. I mean, that is a fictional story written by
we
Washington. You know what I mean?
You gotta love it. There's something spooky. You feel it when you go to Sleepy Hollow.
There's definitely. I mean, Sleepy Hollow's got some old vibe to it, some serious old vibe. Now, I won't say no if we were going to, let's say, go explore the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery on a 7-day investigation to see what kind of paranormal footage we could capture. I wouldn't say no to producing that. It's just got to be. It's you got to have an end game, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got to have an end game.
It's very quiet. It's like, it's my go-to place when I need an escape.
Yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous up there, Tarrytown. It's beautiful.
Fucking love it. And like literally walking in that cemetery, there's just something about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anybody who has not been up to Sleepy Hollow, I would say this: if you're a Halloween buff, go during Halloween. But if you want to go just to go,
it's beautiful all year round.
Beautiful all year round.
Gorgeous.
And
there's great bars up there. There's actually a great bar. One of my favorite bar is, you get the most beautiful view. I say it's the Triborough Bridge. I don't care what you guys call it now. It's not the Mario Cuomo Bridge. It's the Triborough.
Triborough.
No, it's the Tappan Zee. Sorry, not the Mario Cuomo.
Yeah, that was it. The Tappan Zee. Who the fuck calls it? Nobody calls it the Cuomo.
That's the new name now. Okay.
Yeah,
it's the Tappan Zee, but there's this little amazing bar restaurant that has the most beautiful view, and they have a great staff and stuff. I think it's something under the bridge or something like that, or view of the bridge. but all year round that thing is. But all year round, when you're someone that's close or pays attention or medium stuff like that, you feel the energy that's there. It's the same
It's definitely got a
energy you
vibe up there.
feel when you go to Salem.
Yeah, but a lot of those old blood, those places that have blood in the ground, you know what I mean? They all have a different vibe.
Same
They
thing
all
with
have a different vibe. You go down, let me tell you something. Anybody who goes into the Pine Barrens, go to certain areas in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, and the vibe changes. The,
it
the,
does.
the atmosphere changes. And I don't care if you believe in ghosts or not. Your body knows, like you feel shit. Like your body just knows whatever it is. And you go to those places, all those old historic places, they got blood on the ground, especially this part of the country. Like,
Mhm.
yes, the West has a lot of blood in the ground too, but we're a lot older out here than we are out west. So there's just older vibe here. There's just older
The same
older
thing.
blood.
I think the place that I felt there's been 2 or 3 places that I've gone to, and it wasn't until I was older or, like, I explained to my mom or grandmother how I felt. Plymouth, I got extremely sick at.
Interesting.
Um, there's blood in the ground, they massacred Indians.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Gettysburg, I got very, very sick at. And then we went to in what is it, South Carolina, where the island that they used to bring in the slaves.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. Extremely sick that I had like a 103 fever.
Wow.
And then like when they got me out of there, it just disappeared.
Oof.
So like you're right, when there's blood in the ground or it's like this massive massacre, when
Yeah.
you're that like special or you have some type of thing, it fucks with your body.
I don't even think you need to be special. I just think you
No,
need
it
to,
happens naturally, but like when
I think it's just, yeah.
it happens naturally, but some people don't understand it. Like it's like that sense, like if someone's stalking you, you feel it,
Yeah, you
behind
feel
you.
like something's
You
touch. Yeah,
feel
it's a
it.
weird
Or
feeling.
if
Yeah.
there's like another entity or a ghost or whatever people want to call it, you feel it. You feel the shift in the air. Some people could smell it, some people feel the shift in the air, people feel the shift of energies. And I just lately I've just been seeing all these younger amateurs. And I think you brought it up earlier too. They're like, it was a demon that attacked me. I'm like,
It was a
bro,
demon. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
if it
I mean,
was
there's a
just
lot of that
like
shit.
physics? What if it was just like a squirrel throwing nuts at you?
Yeah, right.
Like you.
I mean, listen, raccoons are self-domesticating, right? Raccoons are self-domesticating. Some motherfuckers are throwing shit at you now.
What are you
Get your
talking about? The
attention.
squirrels in Washington Square Park
Oh,
in
I
Manhattan?
know.
Those motherfuckers throw shit at you. Like I went to NYU and I went there to study. It was a beautiful day. I was waiting for a class and I had a fucking squirrel throwing acorns at me.
I was in Washington Square Park years ago, and I'm sitting there and I'm eating, and the squirrel just rolls up my leg and sits on my lap, and he's like trying to get my sandwich. I was like, dude, yeah, okay, here you go. Like, can I finish eating, please?
So squirrels do. They have this old thing, like animals. But and I tell people too, animals also know, and they have that
Yeah, then
natural thing. Like
yeah.
my dog does not bark. She only barks when like someone comes too close to the house to just let them
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah, they know.
You hear the shifts in her barks. But if you have or someone comes around that has very bad energy, she lets out this growl that's like deep down. And I'm like, bro. But then you feel that person's energy when they get close, and then
Yeah.
she gets nasty.
Well, I
So
mean, I think we all have that. We just lost it. I
yeah,
think
people
we
say
just
they do
lost it.
lose it. Who was Sylvia Brown covered it in one of her books
Yeah.
that everyone's born with a gift and some know how to develop it,
Right.
some lose it, some don't pay attention to it. And I think
Yeah.
Sylvia Brown's books were actually really, really good. And growing up and reading those helped me understand. And at the same time, it helped me culturally understand that, like, it's it's not just a Spanish thing. It's not
Yeah.
just this. And it helped reaffirm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Like to do that. I'm dying to go to Scotland. I'm dying to go to Ireland. I just want to experience these places. But my legends here, because they're so close to home, have always been the legend of the Headless Horseman, Bigfoot, and the Jersey Devil, because they're so
Right.
close to home. Like,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I won't lie. There's been drives like me driving at like 4 in the morning, coming from like South Jersey, and I have to go through that way, and I'm just like, I'm gonna see him. Or when I was like a little girl, and we used to drive everywhere, and like we were like going down 95, or my dad would hit a back road. I'd be like looking in the trees. I was like, I wonder if Bigfoot's there. That was
Yeah.
me as a kid.
Yeah, that's funny. That's cool. I
And
mean, I'm sure there's a lot of kids too like that,
I don't know
I
if the
mean,
kids do
in
that
Jersey,
anymore.
we have the old red eye in Jersey, right? So it's predominantly up in northern New Jersey, Sussex County. We have what's called old red eye. Old red eye was around since I was a kid, and that was Bigfoot, basically, the Bigfoot of New Jersey or whatever. So, it's not to say that it wasn't there. It was there. I mean, there's enough. Listen, when it comes to Sasquatch, Sam Squanch, there's something there, right?
It has to be.
If you eliminated 90% of the videos out there and said only 10% were real, that's still 10% of videos out there that can't be explained. And then you have footprints. And the late Dr. Meldrum, who just I think passed away last year, he was the guy who discovered that the footprints had dermal ridges. He was the first one to bring in that this can't be faked when you have these dermal ridges, and because they're literally like fingerprints, no two are alike, right? Mm-hmm. So once you're at that level, once you're at that level of science, looking at this 13-inch, 14-inch, 18-inch footprint that was depressed, 3 inches into the ground, a lot of weight, and you suddenly can see these dermal ridges because technology has allowed you to see further. You can't argue that there's nothing. It's something. So there is something there. There is something out there. It's like anything else. We encroach upon its land, but it encroaches upon ours. I mean, because just by nature, bears get closer, cougars get closer, wolves get closer, coyotes get closer. Even when we're not encroaching, they're coming because it's the hunt for survival and food. So, we might see more people, shooting a shaky cell phone camera. I mean, which still boggles my mind how good these cell phone cameras are. We still can't get like fucking,
solid.
It sees the fucking pimples on your face. So,
but for this, it doesn't.
It doesn't, right? Because the zoom factors in most phones suck. The zoom lenses are not really well designed. And if you know photography, you know that you can't have a zoom lens that big. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
But there is something there. There's something out there. Now, what you believe it is, whether you believe it's an ape creature, like a North American great ape, or a remnant, Gigantopithecus, or you think it's the missing link, like some kind of between fully erect hominid and whatever. Whatever you think it is, it really doesn't matter at this point because there's enough evidence to say something's there.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing. And I'm going to go down conspiracy alley again on Bigfoot. I think the government knows that it does exist. I think it's already classified it.
I agree with you.
There's certain national parks, if you look at their handbooks, they have Sasquatch in it.
Right? Well, look at China. Is it China that they have their version of it and it's protected? There's like warning signs about it.
Right. So, and I think what happens is that science can't jump on this in the quote unquote official manner, because if you suddenly have this species out there that says, here's this unidentified species we've just discovered, We've given it a label. DNA says XYZ. It's this much human, this much ape, this much unknown, whatever. Now you have to have a count of that species. You have to find out how many there are. And if there's under a certain amount of those species, let's say it's like they say, maybe it's migratory, it's a migratory groups. Maybe it's only 200 of them and they migrate all over the place. So it makes all the dots on the map look like there's 10,000 of them. But suddenly you find out there's only 200 of these things or 1,000 of these things. Now you have to put them on the endangered species list. The other problem is if it has human DNA, now you have to give it rights as a human to some extent, right? It has to have these human rights. So now the logging industry gets fucked, the forestry industry gets fucked. All these industries get smoked because the creature on the map is so all over the place. You know what I mean? When you look at those maps, now you have to sit there and go, well, where's its fucking home? Because you could say, here's the cougars, here's the mountain lions, this is where they roam, here's the bears, this is where they could identify their territory. What happened? So I think they exist. What the fuck they are, I have no idea. I don't buy the alien part where people think they're aliens. I'm not a big believer in that. Quantum physics argues that since we have multiple dimensions, that, you know, a parallel reality or another dimensions, they do in fact exist. Is it dimensional? I have no fucking idea, but quantum physics could lead into that real good. So, as a person, as a hobbyist who's been looking at this shit for years, you can't argue that there's something there. The what is irrelevant at this point. You just have to accept that there's something there. Because let me tell you something. You do not want some 800-pound hairy man coming up on your shit going, get the fuck out of my neighborhood. And no amount of bullets going to stop that fucker.
I don't. You know what? There's, like I said, I have been watching Finding Bigfoot, Expedition Bigfoot practically my entire life. Yeah. Like, bro, I remember when they started like appearing on like Discovery Channel and then the History Channel, and I was like, oh shit, wait. And it was like just going down that rabbit hole. And I'm 38 years old. I'll say it. I fucking believe there's a Bigfoot. Like, there's moments that I'm driving upstate, or I think we went to the Vermont this past summer, and bro, like when I was on my balcony in where were we? I think we were in the Stowe, Vermont, and I'm looking out into the woods, and I'm like, I wonder if those things are there, and it's just these thoughts. But then, like, this is the other thing I tell people. People are like, oh, why are you coming out now about your fandom and your stuff? Because I'm tired of hiding who I really am. Yeah. I had to be molded for my career because those things weren't accepted. And now I'm just like, I really don't give a fuck anymore. Take me how you see it. You fucking can't deal with it. I'm done trying to make myself cool. Now I'm at this point, just fucking choke on it. Like,
for sure. Listen, I'm a firm believer in there's some truth to everything.
Exactly. There's three sides of the story.
Right. So there's, there was a time when people said, oh, the moon is made of green cheese because it looked like cheese, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't made of green cheese, but it looked like cheese. So there's the truth. It looked like cheese that they were familiar with. So there's your truth, right? It's not green cheese, but it looks like it. So I can't, when somebody talks about, Nessie and the Loch Ness Monster and this and that, people saw something, despite hoaxes, again, we go back to that 10%. If you take away 90% of everything and you're left with that 10%, what is it? What's to say when you've run out of everything impossible, all you're left with is the probable or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing you have to look at is Occam's razor, the simplest answer. The simplest answer for Sasquatch is it's an undiscovered hominid. Occam's razor, super simple. It's an unclassified hominid because there's enough evidence out there. Jersey Devil we're gonna find out, man. We're gonna find out. I
You
mean,
gotta find out. Like there's so many, like, I know people are like, oh, what if it was a wolf? This I know there's so many things, but come on, the Jersey Devil has been around for years. There's even been talk from First Nation people for even with the first, I think that's one of my favorite episodes when they were able to go on the reservation and there's, stories shared by the First Nation people
yeah.
about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever little legends we have. And I'm like, this has been going on for generations, so there has to be something. So, coming to that, we have the Jersey Devil documentary, Bug House, all these events. So, where can people find you? Like your
So
podcast, like
yeah, so
spread this, this.
we have two YouTube channels. We have our business channel, which is Procurement Con brand. So you just look up on YouTube, Procurement Con, CON brand, BRAND, and that's where you're going to get our business show. Right now we're done shooting that show for a while. We're done with our podcast for a while as we reset everything because we're thinking about merging Black Ink Events and Procurement Con into one YouTube channel. And then for Black Ink Events and for the jam sessions that we hold, you'll find that we're on YouTube as Black Ink Events. So that's where you get us on YouTube. You can find us on social media. Again, the Procurement Con brand, it's Procurement Con, spelled with an N at the end, or Black Ink Events on Instagram, Facebook. We're pretty much shadow banned on TikTok forever because I told me they'll fuck themselves. Yeah, I literally like text, emailed them in the conversations to go fuck yourself. I wasn't taking down anything. So I'm not, we're not big on TikTok, but we don't use social media as our vehicle of income, so it doesn't matter to us. But you'll find both of those brands if you're interested in the business stuff, government contracting, business resources. Find us on Procurement Con. If you're interested in coming to one of our events or being a vendor at our event or a celebrity guest, and the thing is we look at people as far as like being a celebrity guest. We look at them as businesses. So they might have a YouTube channel and they might do tours, Bigfoot tours, and that's their whole shtick. They might not be on major television networks. They might have wrote 2 books. I'm willing to give them that same celebrity treatment, give them that jump, whatever it takes. So we're always open to that. For our not-for-profit, just go to Procurement Con. Right now, we're setting up our social media and our website for all that stuff as we roll out programs for small businesses and for workforce development. We're going to be doing training programs there as well to train skills. We're actually going to be right now putting together our own film training program. Working on that. We've just, as a matter of fact, recruited Jeff Goodwin as a special effects instructor. So I'm going to talk to Steve Barton on Monday about coming in as an instructor. So I only have several other people that'll be instructing. So we're putting together that program. We're doing training for small businesses or for businesses that want to do training through the Department of Labor Workforce Grant. Companies can get trained staff paid for by the Department of Labor in New Jersey here. So we're working on that, rolling that program out. So yeah, and I mean, you can follow me on my personal social medias, e.vincentart on Instagram and Facebook. That's where you can find us, and of course, we'll be palling around with you.
Hey, I'm all for it. I love it. Like I'm telling you, it's the way I've grown up, and like sometimes I question like my mindset. Maybe I'm a little fucked up in the head. Like sometimes I think no one understands me. And like the more and more I've gotten to know you, the more and more I've watched, I was like, yo, this man sounds just like me. Like I'm like, bro, it's like so hard. And it's like I don't know, you're like a kindred spirit. I had to have you. I may be crazy.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think you're fucking crazy for having me on. Because I genuinely don't see myself as a person that's got anything of relevant value to say to people that they can't go find themselves.
I agree, but I've noticed there's a lot of people that either don't know where to get the information or just, we're also surrounded by a world of people are very greedy
Yeah,
and they want to keep that information for themselves or profit off
yeah,
of giving that information. So that's why I also want to have a place that someone can like be scrolling and maybe they come across this and everything you just said on here they could use to help themselves.
well, we
So,
covered a lot of shit here. We
oh
covered
no, we
ghosts and
fucking
Bigfoot and
covered a
business, and
lot.
I
Like
mean,
I'm like, bro, like this.
you're gonna have to set up chapters on YouTube just to find the important parts.
I know I may have to, but like this is information that I feel like needs to be out there and is accessible because like I said, I'm working on a foundation myself because there's a lot of foundations that are out there, but they're more concerned with the profits that they get or the popularity or fame than the cause. They're only a cause for seasonal reasons or
You
for
should talk to we should talk to my chairman on the not for profit about what you're doing,
oh no,
Raphael.
I'm trust me, I'm gonna be picking your brain.
Yeah,
But what I was saying is that the reason what made me go that way is because it was either experience that I've had or when I deal with my clients that they come and tell me, I was like, well, didn't you go to this? And they're like, yeah, they gave me some information and they told me figure it out.
yeah, because
Sometimes
the
you need
system is designed that way.
sometimes there
You know,
it's okay to take that extra step. And I feel like you took that extra step and this is what makes you an amazing person.
I
Um,
appreciate that, but
so like I
I'll bet
I applaud you. Like
when I get
I
when I
for you.
get my award from somebody for being amazing, then pat me on the back. But until then, we just got to
I'm
go out there
patting
and
you
make shit happen.
on.
We got
I
to go
gotta
out there
pat
and
you.
make shit happen. So
But
listen, here's what we're gonna do, Chris. I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. We are going to do another jam session. I'm gonna figure it out. We're gonna do a girl power jam session.
I'm
And I'm
all
gonna
for
have
it.
you come on, and I'm gonna bring on some of my other previous guests and people that I know. We're gonna schedule a girl power jam session. We're gonna fucking crank it up for a few hours and talk about women empowered and the fight you got to fight, the obstacles you face, and how you face them. And we're gonna get that one going on because
I'm
you've
all for it.
inspired. Listen, you've inspired that.
Oh, thank you. That's all I want to do in my life. Like people like think I do this for like money or fame. And no, I have a job for that.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
do this because I want to put the proper information out there. With my major, I see a lot of misinformation or a lot of misinterpreted
Mhm.
information. And I feel like that's what leads a lot of people into the wrong direction.
Sure,
I also believe people should have second chances. No one's perfect. Everyone's gonna fuck up at one point in their life. And
they should fuck up.
they shouldn't be judged on that fuck up.
No, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So like, I've worked fugitive apprehension field and I used to tutor my younger kids or kids that went back to school. I used to make it a part of their bond contract that they had to finish school because grandma, mommy, daddy put their house on it because they fucked up,
Yep.
and you one little fuck up. So guess what? Your job is to come here, check in, but also get your degree and do something with yourself and change that course that you were going down. You made a mistake. Now let's fix it. I believe in that mentality.
Yeah.
Just because someone did something doesn't mean it judges them for the rest of their life. I've also seen people that were falsely accused of things and seen their whole life go away. So like,
Yeah.
that's why I do what I do. It's not for fame, it's not for money. It's because I want the proper information to be out there. I want to be a role model because I didn't have role models that looked like me
Mhm.
or thought like me. And then on top of that, I want it to be accessible in a sense that people learn differently. Some people are hands-on
Absolutely
learners
do.
and have that, but also I want to show that empathy still I'm a fucking bitch. I will not lie. I could be rude, petty, a fucking bitch, but that's just me.
No, I'm
But
right there with you. Listen, here's what
I
I
am
say.
the sweetest person ever, and I just want that. So like this today was fucking awesome. I have to applaud you because
Thank you.
you have put so much information here and helped me with my vision of being a source for people to get the right information to help themselves or to figure something out.
Yeah,
So I applaud you.
I appreciate that. Just remember this. Here's what I'm going to leave this last bit of advice with you and with anybody watching. Do not be nice. Be good. Okay? Go look that up. Another way of saying is don't be nice, be kind. Go look it up. Go read it. That right there, if you understand that and accept that mindset, that will change your life.
Awesome. So, BCs, you heard it here first. Look out for every event. The next event is with April. I keep on butchering her
April
name.
Bousset.
Bousset. Okay, she's probably gonna kill me when I meet her. She's gonna be like, "You fucked up my name."
She's cool. She's cool.
I sorry. I didn't even watch it. I felt it. Please check her out. She's an amazing woman. She's a talented woman. I'm probably gonna be checking her out myself because I'm into all that. Please check out this man and all things. We got to look out for the Bug House. We got to look out for this Jersey Devil documentary.
Title of that is called The Devil's Due.
The Devil's. Ooh, I like that title. The Devil's Doom. All right, you heard it here first. The Devil's Doom, Bug House, and all these amazing events to look forward to in 2026. And if you're not listening or on point and don't want to follow, then you're stupid people. So thank you for tuning in, people, or my beasties, and look for him. We'll see you guys more. Bye.